Hello, young man. How are you?
Hello, big boy. How are you?
I'm very good. It's good having you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for letting me have you.
You can have me whenever you want.
That's so kind of you. God bless.
It's so exciting when the microphones are on. It's just, I'm instantly smiling. So happy to be here.
Yeah. I love you, dude.
Do you want to do my introduction?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
I'll be quiet. I'll shut up.
I did just notice that I said I love you and you didn't say it back.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Creativity Theory Podcast. I'm your host. Who gives a fuck about my name? I ain't saying that shit. Learn it. Fucking look it up. Anyway, I'm here joined with my guest for today, Mr. Colton DeMonte.
Yo, what's up?
My best friend since I was 1 year old.
I remember the day you were born.
Yeah, Colton was there.
Yeah, at the Juggling Gypsy. That's where you were born.
Mm-hmm. So, as you know, as you are familiar with the format of this, I do start the podcast off with a message from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Today's message is a pre-recorded message.
Oh, really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're up in the production.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so anyway.
Finally getting the... Yeah.
Today's episode of the Creativity Theory Podcast is brought to you by Pfizer. New mRNA technology that's totally safe and effective for fighting COVID. Myocarditis? Never heard of her. Like us on Facebook and leave us a comment. Follow us on TikTok. Pfizer. Get vaccinated.
Little dry.
Really cool. That was really cool.
I actually, because this is the 5th episode, I wanted to celebrate with doing 2 ads. So
fantastic.
But I want to give you the honors. So number 2 on this trackpad, if you just pop that button. This one? Number 2, the one.
Sonic.
You got that? Did you go back into YouTube to get that? Oh God, so much joy when I first saw that.
Yeah.
That's a little Easter egg for people. I don't think anybody's going to know what that is.
There's going to be very few people that know what that is.
Yeah, and when they know, they'll know.
Sonic.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, how you doing, dude?
All right.
You're all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Why only fine?
I'm fine. I had to work, you know.
You don't like working?
No, I hate working. Do you like to work?
Love it, dude.
Yeah.
I like getting down and dirty.
Yeah, what do you do? Just taking pictures of people and stuff?
No.
Very cool. This is going to a rockin' start. I'm fine, man. I'm doing good. Trying to just get back into comedy again, man.
Well, yeah. I feel like you and I definitely share, we've been doing comedy, you a little over 10 years, me right at 10 years. Mm-hmm. And we first met 12 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In 2012.
Wow.
When I started doing it.
Yeah. Your hit piece on all the stand-up comics.
That's what everyone was worried about.
Worried about getting canceled before we could even get canceled.
Yeah. I remember one of the first interviews with you in that documentary. You're like, saying something to me about what, you're accusing me of it being a hit piece, jokingly. Yeah. You're like, what is this?
Yeah. I was like, who is this kid?
Yeah.
Why you came up to me that first day and you were like, hello, I am Cameron Smith. I would like to be your best friend. I always tell that story.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. I think you saw me do stand-up or something and you were like, is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah. I'd seen you go up and I thought you were funny. I liked you from watching your stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna go approach this guy and tell him he's my best friend.
So much confidence. What were you, 17? You were in or high school? Yeah.
Yes, I was 17. I was in my senior year of high school, and man, so the last time I watched, when I go back and watch that movie, it's rare, but sometimes I do it every few years, and the last time I watched it was 2020. So towards the end.
You're in lockdown. You're
just and it was shortly after I moved in here, I started watching it with Zach and Phil.
Really? Okay.
And I'd smoked some pot and I know.
Oh my God. Not my camera.
And man, watching me.
How much do you cringe at your old self?
Bad. Like
Bad. Me too.
I cringe so bad it like. And what it was like this unchecked, unconscious arrogance. It was like I was watching myself speak so like fervently into the camera about like my opinions on whatever's going on, and I'm like, holy shit, holy shit! Like
I can barely watch any of my old stuff.
Yeah,
I can't. Like I hate it.
The comedy I don't hate so bad because to me I understand it. Like I understand, like, oh, I was just
what
starting.
You were going
that's
for.
fine.
Sure.
But I think it's the interviews where I'm talking about comedy and talking about myself that make me go, oh, fuck. But you know, on one hand, I'm like, God damn it! I wish I had that level of confidence still.
Right, dude. I hate myself now.
Yeah,
I just hate myself.
Yeah.
You reach a certain age, and all that feels like it goes out the window, especially when something like COVID happened and we weren't performing. I mean, some of us weren't.
I was immediately.
Yeah, some people were. Yeah, no, and that's fine. Like I was in the whole boat of, are people going to get mad at me that I'm performing and getting people sick, or are people going to get mad at me for quitting? And it was like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it was, for me, I'm sure people are going to get mad at me for doing it, but I really want to do it, and I don't care.
But that seemed to be the right path. Like I feel like I took the wrong path in that moment because there's so much going on.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense too, because like the media narrative was doing everything they could to like try to convince everyone that this was a really serious threat. Mm-hmm. So like, if you're convinced by it, then you do feel like you're doing something like deadly dangerous.
It wasn't even convinced though. You remember at the time, even the people that now are not convinced that it's true. There was a time everyone was on board.
Yeah.
For about a month.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't get back to comedy like literally the first week because I don't think anyone was allowed to go out for the first 2, and then like maybe another month, and they were allowed to open businesses. So it was somewhere in the like after the first month or 2 that they started opening up the bar czar mic again, and then I was like, all right, I'll go to this.
And then people were going out wearing masks and doing that stuff, even if they now were like, oh, masks don't work. That don't work.
Right.
Back then, they were wearing a fucking Confederate flag mask.
Yes. As I was.
Yeah, I know. I remember the red hat and the mask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just funny. Like, I don't know. I wish I didn't. I wish I kept going.
Yeah.
Because I lost 2 years almost.
Yeah.
I'm 32. And so, like, there was that. I hit 30 during COVID. And that was a time where you start to go, oh my God, this is starting to end for me. Like, my window is closing.
You feel that way?
Yeah. Every day. Like, that's why I went and bought a fucking audio recorder, because I'm like, I'm going to start recording my stuff. I never did it when I was younger. I had this plan. I was like going to be 32, 33 and try to make it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to record like every single one of my sets.
You used to record a lot of mine too.
Yeah. And around COVID, and really kind of the year before that, I stopped doing that. I just didn't feel like bringing my camera and setting it up and worrying about that. I just wanted to go up. And I wish I continued to record. I definitely regret doing that, because especially like the first year of COVID, I had some really great sets that I can't look back at, and like material that I've just forgotten because I didn't really write it down anywhere.
Yeah.
And
I had an hour of material at one point that I don't remember. I have notes that are gone, you know, like that got whatever mixed in with other stuff and got thrown away. I have like stuff I just don't know that I have. It comes up every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's depressing to think like, oh my God, I worked on all this material and then it's gone.
Yeah. So,
but it's kind of a good thing. I need to evolve anyway.
Right.
Just keep doing the same old shit.
Yeah. So you would say, I mean, it was pre-COVID, even before COVID, didn't you kind of like not stop coming around so much?
I was slowing down.
Yeah.
I quit improv because that was just a huge waste of my time.
Yeah. What did just like
and not doing it. It was like I love doing it and the people and everything, but for me personally, I wasn't learning anything.
Yeah.
So I had to stop.
what did like the thought process look like in terms of what you were experiencing and what kind of frustrated you and led you to just kind of be like, I don't feel like coming anymore. Not so much with improv, but with stand-up. Like the improv thing, I understand, but maybe more like interpersonal drama and that kind of thing.
I think it was a lot of guilt of like, I'm not making it doing stand-up. I'm not making any money. We're doing open mics and occasionally a weekend spot where we don't make anything. It was all free. We were working for free. So there came a point of debt that you go, I'm not moving forward. I can't save money.
Yeah.
I'm ruined. So it's like I had to stop doing comedy so I could catch up on bills. And then it became like, oh, I'm comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Because we did free shit for years.
Yeah.
Like even, you know, like local spots. It's like stuff that we're established. We're good comedians. And there's no money.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest frustration. Not that it was all about money.
Right.
But if I'm devoting all this time, I need to make a little bit of money doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And how do you feel about just yourself in this return back to comedy or this effort to kind of get back into it? How do you feel about your experience going on stage again? And how do you feel about the audiences and scene? Just general thoughts there. How's your experience?
So before I was trying to just not write jokes for that. I guess write jokes for them. I guess I was trying to cater to the crowd. Now it's more like I have this mindset of everyone is trash, you know, like everyone is a piece of shit. And it's like, I'm going to find that piece of shit in this crowd and we're going to talk to them and we're going to just kind of have a good laugh at, look at this piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to do material anymore. I'm tired of material because you can write something that you know works.
Yeah.
And then the next week, some crowd is like, actually, I didn't think that was very funny. And like, they're not laughing. And you're like, what the fuck? This works. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I've definitely found myself. Sometimes I wonder if this is like, and I don't mean this necessarily in a political sense, but sometimes I wonder if like this whole phenomenon of polarization that's occurred, like, you know, how social media is really like worsened polarization because people can find their sort of niche views and then find the echo chamber for it and go further and deeper into that rabbit hole. And I mean, just think of something like music for a second, like music where we used to share like several common radio stations, right?
Sure.
And so that was kind of the way that we'd be introduced to what is popular.
Yeah.
And then there's this this sort of creation of the streaming platform where now you have like almost unlimited access to all sorts of music. And then there's this introduction of algorithms which try to figure out a more unique way to cater to your music preferences. It's really like individualized. And so then people can, in that sense, go further into their strange sort of niche and particular tastes. And so you have like, rather than it being a small pool of well-known artists that so many people share and can relate about, like, oh my God, you love this person too. It's like so many people have very different tastes just in there and not a lot of overlap, or not as much overlap as they used to, I feel like. And I feel like you can think about that too in terms of the internet and sharing ideas. And so there's just like the overlap and the sharing of values has really dissipated. And I think people have, rather than there being a few ideologies, there's like hundreds of ideologies now, and then weird amalgamations of ideologies, and people just, and I'm not saying this is all bad, but I do think that in terms of comedy, back to the point I'm trying to make, like it used to be easier to kind of know generally what the few things out there, the few opinions are about a given subject that you want to make a joke about, and then kind of know how to play with what people generally think. Like, these people kind of think this, these people kind of think this. I'll just sort of ride the line between those two things. Now it's like, there's like 50 different things people think about this, and this might even be something that like half the room doesn't even fucking know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And so I've also found with the hour I put together during COVID that like I say that these jokes, they're like 50-50, where I'll do them in one room and they'll absolutely murder, and then I'll do them in another room and they'll get absolutely nothing. And I can't ever make a judgment about the demographic of the room.
Yeah.
Like I can't look at it and be like, oh, it's old white people, they're gonna hate this or something like that, and then go up there, because it's like I've done, you know, an old white crowd that loves the shit and an old white crowd that hates the shit.
Right.
I'm finding it very hard to predict, even when it's a tried and true joke, that it's going to go well.
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, because we're all so individual now. And I mean, it does also have to, I feel like part of that is included with the social media thing, where there's just a person that pops up that's like, I don't like this. And then you get 4 more people to be like, you know what, you're right. And it's like, who the fuck are you and where'd you come from? Like, what's this point you're making? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like half the time they're upset about something like, they're like, you like triangles? You must be a Nazi. And
yeah. Like where did this come from?
Whoa, where did this come from? Yeah.
I didn't know triangles were Nazi stuff.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of that with individuals, you know, because then they have, like you said, their own ideologies, and then they don't like the thing because they're so focused on this other thing or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I kind of see that. I mean, the way you explained it was extremely confusing, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm sorry for confusing, dude.
It's okay. No, it's okay. I was trying to understand, like, I get what you're saying. Like, we have our own individual taste, and it's kind of expanded from there. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Like
It's
the evolution of media and such.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if you are, you maybe have some bad thoughts, and you isolate yourself with them. Those bad thoughts or good thoughts, you know, whatever. You have some strange thoughts. How about that? That's a better way. You have some strange thoughts, and you have 2 options here. You can either go live by yourself in the wilderness, or you can go live in a house with like 3 of your friends. Okay. And so think about like how much further down the rabbit hole of strange thinking you're probably going to be if you go isolate yourself in the woods with those thoughts, versus how much your friends, if you start voicing that to the people around you, they'll do, that's strange, you need to maybe pull back from that, or like that doesn't make sense, or you know what I mean.
So it keeps you in check,
right?
What you're saying, like the popular stuff.
Yeah,
like keeps you in check.
It's like I kind of feel like the one-on-one relationship we have with our phones and computers, like that we're using the internet and social media, are pulling us further down our own unique tastes and rabbit hole. And I think that there's a good side to that. That's really cool that you can express and go further into your own individual tastes and interests. That's cool. But there is this sort of down curve of like, humans are finding it harder to relate to one another on like a mass scale,
right? I
think, and not entirely, but
I'll give you an example. The media that I have been consuming since COVID started is like Twitch. You know, like I've been really into like video game, you know, I guess personalities. I guess that's what they're influencers or something. Like they don't influence me, but I just like watching, you know, video game content. And it was like, that's a very niche thing. They're like, if I showed you, you'd be like, what the fuck are you watching? Like, this is psychotic.
Yeah. I mean, I think that about a lot of things. Like I could not imagine watching people play video games, but I can't even imagine watching sports, you know? There's a lot of things that I think are very common, and I
that was something I wanted to talk to you about.
That I half understand people's interest in it, and I don't feel I have any business to talk shit or anything, but like for me, I feel the same way about like something like that. And even like playing video games, like I get it, and I think that there's good stuff, but with sports, it's like,
sports is
to me it's so much time and attention to invest, and then there's even people get emotionally attached to where like their whole day, if not week, is ruined if their team loses.
Well, now those people, when they discovered politics like 5 years ago, and now they're literally like wearing jerseys of their favorite politician. It's like they've adopted politicians as like their team. You know, like their football team. And if their team loses, they get fucking pissed and they storm the Capitol and shit.
Yeah.
So I hate where that's gone. I hate that it's, I mean, politics has always been us versus them, but it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. So
I
you
hate
said
that.
there's something you wanted to talk to me about.
Yeah, video games. I heard you talking shit.
But I
think you were pretty.
Yeah, I was
like,
pretty balanced. In fact,
yeah. No, you weren't talking shit. I was just saying, because you were saying, I think you like lumped in video games when you were discussing a point that I think is true with certain video games. But I think there is so much like great storytelling that is done in video games. The artwork now is incredible. Like,
yeah,
that's why I was going to pitch to you that you should try video games again.
Maybe
certain video games.
Well, I think the thing for me about it is that, and when I've looked back at that moment that you're referring to, part of me was like, I was kind of holding back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of,
I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, to get to the point of like why, and again, like I think people should be allowed to do what they want.
Of course. But no. This is just your opinion.
Yeah. I think I'll tell you me personally, and then like what I would say as the thing to say, to be like, to influence a young person like my brother, right?
Yeah.
Who's like,
who loves you, by the way.
Yeah. And I guess you don't, because
I do love you, Cameron. I'm just joking.
Okay, well, earlier
I love you, buddy.
I said it, you didn't say it.
You know I love you.
Anyway, so to me, it's the main point is the time suck, and it's like, because there is great story like in books and in movies and television and video games. I agree with all of that, but like it's kind of like to watch shows in reason, or like you watch one movie every once in a while or something, rather than you're binge watching Netflix for 6 hours a day. And to me, that's the thing. I think video games have that capacity to, it's really easy to give lots of hours to them, and then it's thinking about it from a context of like, okay, let's even say something kind of reasonable, like you spend 2 hours 5 days out of every week playing video games. Do you think that that's like kind of a maybe reasonable amount to say?
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
I mean, I'm pretty casual. I do about 2 to 3, maybe.
Got it.
Every day, maybe every other day.
Got it.
Depending on what's going on.
So let's just say that's 10 hours a week, and let's just roughly say 4 weeks a month. So then that's 40 hours a month, and then that multiplied by 12. I don't know. I don't feel like doing it.
Well, I guess.
But anyway, I'm just
to push back on that.
Yeah.
When I was listening to the podcast with you and your brother, you discussed binging. What was his name?
Jordan Peterson. Okay.
No, Twin Peaks.
Oh.
Jordan Peterson. Can't listen to that fucker for more than 5 minutes.
Oh boy.
I mean, he is a smart guy.
Yeah. We could argue about that.
I wanted to talk to you about that too. I think that he is. Wasn't he a professor at MIT?
University of Toronto, and then he was Harvard before that.
Okay. Smart guy.
Yeah.
I think he knows the game that he's playing.
Maybe.
I think they all do. I say that for every, like, even Democrats, I think they know what game they're playing. I think they all do. Well, when they're making money in that space.
Yeah, we'll come back to him, but finish the point about video games.
Yeah, so my point was, when you're binge watching David Lynch with your brother, it's a great experience. You're both enjoying it, right?
Well, I guess we binged Twin Peaks.
You did, Cameron.
But that's like, you binge once and then that's it. Like when he mentioned that I played Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
Right.
I binged it for a week and then I was done with it and never picked it up ever again.
Right.
And to me, looking back on that was fun, but
you enjoyed that experience.
I enjoyed it, but I don't think it added to my life.
Really? But you think that movies and TV and stuff that you enjoy watching, you think that adds to your life? I
think in the case of something like David Lynch, and then showing that to my brother, and of course watching it again, because he has like Rizzy Beats said this is staring power. Like, he has staring, like, you can watch it again and get new stuff out of it and understand like kind of new levels and see new things you didn't see before.
Hate to break it to you, buddy. Video games have the exact same
I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in the context of, I don't make video games. I do like making movies though. And so it inspires me in terms of like creativity and writing. Like, I'm consuming things that I like making, and I think that the making is definitely worthwhile and fulfilling.
Yes, I started trying to make video games as well. Yeah,
so
it's very hard.
And again, that's the personal thing, and I'm not saying you should not do it.
You know what? Fuck you, Cameron. No, this isn't an argument. I like this discussion because I have heard, that before, but it's if you read a book too, it's like the same thing. Or even if you tell a story, you go watch a stand-up comedian, you're technically wasting your time, but you're consuming art. And especially something like Red Dead, which is one of the most gorgeous games that's ever been made. I just like going back to look at it because it's like people made this. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's a feat that no one can do.
I am not at all denying the art of video games in any way.
There's one game I do want to recommend to you called The Stanley Parable.
Okay.
If you like David Lynch, it's a game that's kind of based like sort of the same style of just random weird stuff starts happening, doesn't tell you why. It's very meta kind of game. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I know I can't get you on my side.
Trying to get me. Look, in terms of like when the next Grand Theft Auto comes out.
Yeah, you're gonna play that.
I will play that.
Yeah, there's monumental type games like that will come out every 15 years that everyone's gonna play.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be an amazing game. So I'm glad you're gonna play that.
Yeah,
I think you should. Because especially Grand Theft Auto, I'm curious to see where they're gonna go. Are they going to do more, woke comedy? Are they going to do that? I don't think so. I think they're going to stay,
true
satirical.
To the GTA.
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that they're probably going to make fun of that stuff to some degree.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, all right, let's come back to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean any insult by this, but you can imagine as someone that likes him quite a bit and is super familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a number of conversations that are similar to this, and I think that it's a matter of like what you kind of grouped him in with like politicians there and like political speakers and those who are like playing into the game of that, and it's all about money for them. Mm-hmm. So I understand having that view. Being someone
I didn't mean to say politician. What I meant to say someone who talks about politics. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't. And I understand what you're saying. I understood that.
Like Alex Jones, like kind of.
Yeah. So I would say you're right about Alex Jones to a large degree, in that analysis. Mm-hmm. But I think to group Jordan Peterson in with that guy is definitely.
No, and I'm not saying they're the same.
Yeah,
I'm saying that they're in the same field.
I would not.
Why is that?
So, I would,
because he does have opinions that are based on like political things. Does he not?
Yeah, but don't you and I have opinions that are based on political things?
I don't make money off of it.
Okay,
I'm just saying I think he's playing it up. So when he does say those things.
So do you know how he like blew up, like how he got popular?
Wasn't it he had some argument with some student? I think I saw it like on YouTube where he had an argument with a liberal student and it made its rounds and they called him, like a Nazi and all this shit.
Yes. And so do you know what that argument was about?
I don't remember exactly, but I do remember watching it. What was it about?
Okay. So this is how he blew up essentially. In Canada, they had a bill that they were attempting to pass. I don't know if it ever did pass or not, but they were trying to pass it, and it was called Bill C-16, and it was a compelled speech law, and it had to do with pronouns for trans people or anyone who wants to has a preferred pronoun. Mm-hmm. And so it was pretty much a law that was saying if you call someone the wrong pronoun, there can be legal repercussions.
I would have to look at this because I don't know much about
that's
this.
Fine. That's fine. But look, there's people that have gotten in this argument with me and think that Jordan's argument about how this is not a good idea and an actual serious threat is disingenuous and all that. But
that's not even really what I've heard him say. It's mostly like the bootlicking, of Elon Musk and shit. That just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I get that he's a free speech person. I get obviously we all are. I'm not even against the whole, I don't think that you should be persecuted for saying the wrong pronoun. Right. Canada is a lot different than we are.
So let's take the pronoun thing out of the equation.
Sure.
Here. It's just it's to the point. It is notably a compelled speech law. So a law that is about limitation of speech
in Canada.
Yes. And now and the pronoun thing, the thing that makes it a little one, you shouldn't have a compelled speech law for anything, right? So, but then the thing that makes it particularly dangerous is that you can be legally punished based on someone's whim. Like, I can just...
What was this bill? Who was right? How many did it pass? This bill?
I can't tell you. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
This is where, like, I understand you wanting to discuss it with me, but if we don't know...
That's beside the point.
Right, but if it's not a true thing, then...
No. This is a true thing. This is a true bill. You can look this bill up.
Okay.
And you can look at Jordan Peterson sitting in front of, like, the I don't know, whatever sort of, like, local Congress it was that he sat in front of and, like, spoke out against it.
Sure.
This is a real thing. That is for sure.
Okay.
And so whether it was passed or not is beside the point. The point is that he was arguing against it, saying compelled speech laws are not a good idea. You don't understand the hell that you're inviting by doing this. And then
they labeled him as an
anti-trans Nazi, blah, 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 blah.
And then he
defended himself verbally in that video, and then people responded to that.
Well, he's also continuing down that path, it feels like. Does it not? Does he not take a right-wing stance occasionally? I mean, no, he's very liberal.
No. So listen,
he's centrist.
He is, I would say, probably a right-leaning centrist.
Okay.
But there's nuance to this. Mm-hmm. It's basically when this happened and this whole time, he's kind of been like, look, I really hate having these political discussions. And
yes, I think I have heard him say that.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And pretty much a lot of the things that I voiced in that podcast with my brother about, like, I've always been a left-leaning moderate. Yes. And then I think that the political spectrum shifted, and now I would consider, I still have the same views pretty much, but now I seem to appear to be a more right-leaning moderate if you're to grill me politically. But otherwise, I'd really prefer to be impartial to the politics, because I feel like it's a rigged game and you're just kind of a pawn in this system no matter which side you're voting for.
I'm in the same boat as you.
And
we both agree on that, because I am the same way, where the left, I was a far left person in 2008 because I wanted to legalize weed.
Yeah. And
so because I was considered that back then, I continued it till recently, where I'm like consider myself more of a centrist.
Got it. So, and as far as hearing what Jordan Peterson has said, what has been, and I'm not talking about content wise, I'm saying, like, have you, like, watched him in his own words, like, speak his lectures?
Yes.
Have you read any of his books?
Yes, but this was years ago, and I listened to him, and I pretty much agreed with those types of, like, I said he's a very smart guy. I don't disagree. He's very learned.
Yeah.
He's a very, very smart person. But he has also been labeled this thing, and instead of, not take, if he's really a centrist person, I do feel like him and other people like him, even though he's a smart guy, he's got to be getting money from these guys. I don't know for sure. I'm making assumptions. But it feels like they're in that avenue, where he's got to be making some money off of the right-wing stuff.
So I think right-wingers, particularly moderate right people, I think they like what he's saying, for sure. And there's moderate left people that like what he's saying, like classic liberals that like what he's saying too. But the reason why he's become so politicized is because one observation, which is tied to this Bill C-16 compelled speech law, and then a number of other issues that would be considered radical left ideology that has emerged in the past half decade, maybe last whole decade. And
Canada's done this stuff before too. Like they've sued a stand-up comedian at an open mic.
Yeah.
The government.
Yeah.
And they persecute him, and he had to pay a lot of money.
Yes.
Canada is not a free speech country.
It's not.
No, it's not America at all. It's very different.
Yes.
He should be saying those things in those, but here we have a constitution. Okay.
Yes.
We got bills of rights. Okay. I know my rights.
Yeah. But anyway, the politicization of Jordan Peterson has been, he's come out not as I am a Republican and a conservative, but I am against this radical left ideology. And a lot of the arguments which people resonate with and find so fascinating, it seems to be the stuff people respond to and are interested in, is when he takes on this position of breaking down the major flaws and problems with radical left ideology, which
is he doing an equal amount with radical right wing ideology?
But see, that's
no,
you can't fucking do that shit to me.
I'm joking.
I know.
I'm
just saying. He is definitely against radicalization on the right.
Then talk about both.
He does, but he does not have to do it as much with the right. He doesn't, because and this is the reason, and this is and he could be. Look, you can say that he's wrong about this all you want, but the reason why he's sort of taken on this position is because, yes, there's the left and there's the right, and then there's radical left and radical right. He says, look, of course, like, we would agree as someone in the West that we have been beaten over the head with the fact that there was a Holocaust and that Nazis are bad, right? Most people, you would, except for the neo-Nazis, would say...
What? No, they hate themselves.
The neo-Nazis and Kanye West would say, I do not like Hitler, and that Nazis are bad, right? Wouldn't you say that most people would probably say that?
Except for... Nazis and Kanye West. Yes.
Okay. Now...
Now... In publicly.
Right. And so,
publicly.
Sure. And so that's radical right there. It's sort of pointing to fascism and Nazism. That's radical right. And there's a pretty clear boundary that most people understand there. That's when you go too far on the right. Now the left, it's a little murky and it's not as clear.
Yeah.
And here's an example. What do you like politically or government wise? Do you know what like radical left is?
Do I?
Yeah. What would you like see? It's
how about the French Revolution?
Sure.
Great example of radical leftism where, not really, more of like the poor people rose up.
Well, I was going to
if that's what you want to call.
I was going to put put like fascism and
I mean, you could talk about, there's lots of communism was based on left wing, giving people the control and all that. Yeah. Of course.
Where I was going with this is the fascism and nationalism on the far right. And then you have the communism, Marxism, and then these versions of socialism on the left, where there's all sorts of atrocities on both ends there. Do you know how many people that would identify as moderate left that support and are interested in communism and Marxism?
Moderate left?
Even moderate left. People that say they're moderate left.
I think depending on their class. Because you can have rich people who are moderate left, and you can also have poor people who are moderate left. But when we're talking
about people who are against fascism and nationalism and Nazism, versus people that are against communism, Marxism, socialism, wouldn't you agree that there's kind of an imbalance where it's like most people are almost definitely against this? It's a little murky. Some people know this stuff's bad, but a lot of people are like in the modern day.
You got to be more specific.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Because, sure. Okay.
Yeah. What part of communism is the bad part? Corruption. It's like you said in your last podcast. It all comes down to, doesn't matter which side, both sides can get corrupt. Fascism is bad. Obviously, it's bad. And communism is not always great. It just depends on the corruption part. I get what you're saying. Fascism you have a dictator who tells you what to do. That's bad. Is that what you're saying? And then the left is more like, here, we'll give you all this stuff, but we're really corrupt and we're funneling money out of. Because that's what happens in like Venezuela. You want to bring that up?
I will admit that I do not have the intellectual prowess to get into the nuance of the specificities of communism or nationalism and fascism and all that. But what would you call the Nazi regime that was involved in the Holocaust?
What would I call them? What do you mean? A fascist.
Right. Okay.
Right, sure.
Okay. Now, what would you call...
Oh, wait, no, weren't they communists?
No.
Yes, yeah. Hitler... Wait, I'm trying to remember my history here. Stalin... Oh, wait, no, that's Italy. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, so then...
Because Italy became fascist through communism.
Okay. So then...
Just saying.
Then the Stalin and the Gulag...
That was communism.
Okay. So that's what I'm not...
That became fascism.
Okay.
So I'm just saying it can happen... Like, you can have the fascists or whatever on the right that eventually might change, like it just depends on the corruption. Depends on what.
Okay,
works
let's
at
make
the
this. Let's make this really easy.
Okay.
When I say Nazi,
Mm-hmm.
do you go good or bad?
Bad.
Okay. When I say communist, do you go good or bad?
Bad.
Really?
Yeah.
And you think, and now, okay, for you. So when we're talking to people on the right and the left, people in general, when I say Nazi, what do you think most people
okay.
think?
So I see what you're saying. Okay. So the nuance with that though is communism does have, it has certain elements in it that are good. There is nothing good. Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe.
Okay. Because I can explain it to you if you want me to break it down.
I have a classic Cam analogy to make this a lot easier.
All right.
The picture I'm trying to paint here. Let's take alcohol and marijuana.
Okay.
Alcohol is the right. Alcohol is the right and marijuana is the left.
Mm-hmm. It's a terrible analogy.
It's actually a really good one.
Okay. All right.
Moderate right people are people that maybe drink a okay amount of alcohol and they can handle their stuff. Mm-hmm. Radical right are the people that take it too far and they drunk drive, they beat people up, they kill people, right? Mm-hmm. Kill themselves, alcohol poisoning. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious when someone's had too much alcohol that alcohol can be bad in excess, right? Mm-hmm. People mostly agree that alcohol can go too far. Marijuana. Moderate left people are people that can handle whatever amount of marijuana they're taking, a little bit. Maybe they have moderation, do it a few times a week, just in the evening, something. Radical left people are the ones that smoke way too much and think, you can't smoke too much, man. There's no such thing. Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying is it's not, there's an asymmetry between the radical right and the radical left. Mm-hmm. This is really clear cut. We really don't need to focus a lot of attention on breaking this down for people. Mm-hmm. We in the West understand Nazis are bad. Mm-hmm. We need some education over here about where the line is.
With the left.
Yeah. The line between the moderate.
Like when it becomes extreme.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. It's this murky water because it's hard to define. You and I would have a hard time defining where that line between radical left and moderate left is. Wouldn't you agree?
Sort of. I took poli-sci in college, so I know a little bit about, like, they taught us about the breakdown of each, like, communism. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it starts with, like, bringing down the government. You know, that's like the first thing. And then socialism. You split the money.
Okay. So you're educated in the subject.
I understand how fascism is plain old, I'm in charge, you work for me. That's it. Like, the thing with communism is there's a point where the person in charge is supposed to step down and relieve their power and say, hey, we're going to put someone else in charge. We did it. You know, we fucking did it. Everything's good now. They never do. They never want to step down. It's always that part of communism, that the corruption part of it. And like fascism, it's never clear until it's happening. And then you're too late. Like, I mean, we saw signs of it. We were lucky to see a little bit of signs of it, but in like January 6th, man.
How about this?
If they got pretty fucking close to killing some people in Congress and shit. That would have started a fucking bloodbath.
Okay.
They were pretty close. All right, go ahead.
In that case, so let's talk about an asymmetry in a government's susceptibility to corruption. Let's take a communist form of government and our capitalist form of government, our democracy, whether as flawed as it is. I know you don't like Trump, do you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, well, in what way? Like his politics? Because he's very different. And I think he's funny as fuck.
Yeah, I agree. He's funny as fuck.
He's funny as fuck.
But do you think it was a good idea to have him as the president?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Now,
well,
we know
it was funny.
It was funny. It was very funny. Now,
at first,
and I'm not saying this reflects my views. I'm asking you. So,
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, Trump as a president, we know what that was like. Mm-hmm. Do you think Trump, if he were in a communist regime and he was a dictator, how do you think that would have went?
What do you mean? Like if he was trying to enact communism?
Do you think Trump as a president in an American democracy versus Trump as a dictator and an American, like American suddenly became communist.
Okay.
But America still had the same amount of power as it does in this regime. You understand what I'm saying?
Sort of. Like let's just say we're a communist country. Is that what you're saying? And
Sure.
he's the president.
Sure.
Okay. What about it?
I guess the point thing is, do you think Trump is the same amount of dangerous as a president in a democracy versus Trump as a dictator in a communist regime?
Well, I think one is him having absolute power.
Yes.
And then the other one is him thinking he has absolute power. He thought he did.
Right.
Our current.
One of them he has absolute power and one of them he does not.
Right.
Which one's more dangerous? The one where he has absolute power or the one where he does not?
The one where he has absolute power.
Okay. So that's
where is this going?
What I'm trying to point out is that's like, yes, everything is susceptible to corruption. Like a fascist regime and a communist regime are both very dangerous places for there to be someone who is corrupt in the position of power.
Well, by that point, it's too late, is it not?
Right. You're against radical right.
Yeah.
You're against radical left.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think, on average, people understand where the right has gone too far? Do you think people understand the dangers of Nazism and fascism?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think people just as much understand the dangers of communism and Marxism?
Bro, in the 50s and shit, that's all they talked about. Communism was the main threat.
Do you think people my age do?
No.
Okay. That's I think the
well, but that's also I think maybe half of them do.
So here, that's actually good in the 50s and stuff that they're talking about. So These are the people my age and your age too, people that are like, communism and Marxism's bad. And then you have the youngins like me going like, what are you talking about? It would be way better than our corrupt capitalist nation.
The only reason why the young people do that is because
they're not educated.
They are educated. That's why. Because if you learn in poli-sci, like I did, the steps of communism, they're not like fascism, man. Like,
they're not the same. I'm not saying that.
No, and I know, but if what I was saying before about the corruption part, it all looks amazing on paper. It's never been done.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the issue. With it. Because people don't know that once the corruption comes in, all that other shit is out the fucking gate. Like, you're not going to have this perfect society where we all own the build, like the all like work and shit. Like, we'd be in control of goods and services.
So this right here, this illustrates my point perfectly. We haven't had a single argument about whether Nazism or fascism is bad and whether we think other people think it's bad, other than Nazis and Kanye West.
But because fascism is a clear-cut thing, man. It really is.
But that's the point I'm making. Alcohol, when it's gone too far, is a clear-cut thing. Marijuana is really murky. The radical left is really murky. That's the point I'm making.
But you're also saying that the radical left is like inherently communist.
What
I know you're getting frustrated.
I am, because
I'm also trying to understand what you're saying to me. It doesn't all make sense.
Right. When we talk about this, it gets really confusing, doesn't it?
Sure.
That confusion that we're having reflects everyone else's confusion. Where I'm saying this side is
which
really
is why
straightforward.
we have to battle this side. Why Jordan Peterson will not battle the right is because this is so murky.
It's why Jordan Peterson probably has to say, like, if we're dividing it into a percentage of what he says politically against the radical right versus the radical left, it's like, this is probably only worth me saying 10%. Like, I'm going to denounce it 10% of the time because it's me beating you over the head and saying it's good to drink water. You should hydrate. And this over here is like, this is a complicated issue we haven't quite figured out. And the fact that we haven't figured this out and that it's not clear over here manifests as all the problems we're having with radical left ideology that people don't even recognize as radical.
How old is Jordan Peterson? Is he our age?
Is he all right? No.
Isn't that what you said before? No young people know about communism. Like, he's a fucking old dude.
Well, yeah, he's also...
So it is clear to him. If that's your point.
To him...
Sorry. That everyone else doesn't immediately listen to what he has to say. Like,
no, this is not at all the point. I don't even understand what you're saying at this point.
Okay.
Look, and there's... I'm going to make you watch a Jordan Peterson clip.
I'm not going to fucking watch it.
Why not?
Fuck him.
See, this is the thing, is I don't understand. Like, I don't think you...
know why I don't like him. I do. He's playing the game that everyone else fucking plays. And then you're so wrapped up in it, you're getting upset about it when we're just trying to have a discussion. Like, I was hoping we wouldn't get upset at each other tonight. I really was hoping that would
I don't not like you. I don't, yeah.
Obviously, but I'm just saying.
I'm not mad at you about this at all.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the argument.
Okay.
I hope you don't think that I'm like, God damn it, or anything.
Well, it's you're trying to make me feel. It almost feels like you're trying to make me feel stupid about it.
I'm not trying to make you feel
Even
stupid.
though I know the, like the breakdown of what you were saying. I understand that. I don't know. It's fine. I'm good.
Well, I think I'm just working really hard to try to illustrate this point that I think that you've agreed with in pieces, but like to acknowledge like it's like there's no way I would get you to say like, you know what, it's true. My perception of Jordan Peterson is limited. I
said that from the beginning. Did I not? I don't really know.
I didn't feel
I said I think he's smart. That's about all I know about him though.
Look,
in that one piece that I saw years ago. Because like I said, I have to look into that Canadian bill and all that. So I don't know anything about that.
I just want to play this clip for you.
Okay.
Because this is like what I feel that this confusion thing on the left that like more young people like me need to hear. The ones that are saying, I am a Marxist. I would prefer a communist government. That's really common. Mm-hmm. No one's saying, I wish that we were under a fascist regime.
Like the point I said before that I don't think you're understanding is communism on paper looks amazing.
Okay.
Anyways, back to the postmodern types. Well, this all was revealed in such painful detail that even the kind of closed-minded ideologue that Norman referred to just couldn't quite muster up the moral courage to keep beating the same damn drum. So what they did instead, being highly intelligent individuals, was play a game of sleight of hand and transformed these Marxist presuppositions into postmodernism in the 1970s. And the idea basically was, well, the working class isn't going to rise up and crush the bourgeoisie because, first of all, they're getting rich, and that wasn't supposed to happen. And second, well, it sort of seemed to be a catastrophe when that occurred, let's say, in Russia. And so maybe we won't do that anymore because the working class actually isn't buying into this either, which is also a problem. Having internalized their own oppression, they wouldn't buy into the global myth of utopia. So maybe it's because they had some sense. It's certainly possible. But anyways, the sleight of hand was, oh, well, fine, we'll just play a different oppressor versus oppressed game, and we'll introduce identity politics. It's like, okay, you're not being oppressed because you're a member of the working class, you're being oppressed because you're a woman, or you're being oppressed because you have an ethnicity that's outside the main paradigm, whatever that might be, or it's because of your sexual preference or your sexual identity, whatever places you in some manner outside the normative culture. And the thing is, the postmodernists, you might think, well, your culture is good for something. It gives you a hierarchy of value. It rewards competent people. It gives you a direction so you can climb up, because otherwise everything's leveled to nothing, and then why do anything? Well, they don't care about any of that. They don't believe that there's any such thing as competence. They don't believe that there's any such thing as up. This is all, postmodernism wipes all of that out. And so when the postmodernists analyze a text, all they care about is how it privileges the position of the author and who it oppresses. And that's the only thing they regard as real. And they don't believe in grand unifying narratives. They don't believe that there's a Canadian identity. They don't believe that there's an American identity. They don't believe that there's a Western identity. They don't believe that value structures exist, or if they are, they're irreplaceable with some other value structure. They certainly don't believe that they have any biological grounding, that there's any such thing as a human being. It's all socially constructed, which is really convenient if what you want to do is be the author of an entirely social constructed utopia that you can run. And then when the Marxists say, well, that wasn't real Marxism, what it really means, and I've thought about this for a long time, it's the most arrogant possible statement anyone could ever make. It means, if I would have been in Stalin's position, I would have ushered in the damn utopia instead of the genocidal massacres, because I understand the doctrine of Marxism and everything about me is good. It's like, well, think again, sunshine. You don't understand it. You don't understand it. And you're not that good. And if the power was in your hands, assuming you had the competence, which you don't, you wouldn't have done any better. And even if you had, there would have been someone else waiting right behind you to shoot you the first time you actually tried to do anything good. And that's what happened to all the old guard who ran the damn revolution. Stalin rounded them all up and shot them, along with their families and millions of other people. So even if you do happen to be that avatar of moral purity that you claim implicitly, the probability that you'd get to act out your goodness in relationship to those possessed by your ideology is zero. So there's... So, you know, you think, well, why are these postmodernists doing what they're doing? Why do they oppose the patriarchy? Here's a question. Why don't the feminists complain about Saudi Arabia? It's like... You know, Gad Saad, who's this guy at Concordia who is in a business school, so he can actually say what he thinks now and then. He tweeted yesterday, well, he tweeted to the Women's March, you know, because there's a little Twitter thing, you could do that, I suppose, for the organizers, and he said, why don't you go to the Middle East and have a nice march against Saudi Arabia and see how that works out for you? It's like, so you think, well, why not? Like, why not? Why are the radical leftists who are so much for rights everywhere, that's what they say, why aren't they complaining about Saudi Arabia, for example, which, you know, breeds a particularly pathological form of ideologically rigid Islam that basically enslaves their women, that's to put it properly. It's like, why not complain about that? Well, how about this? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so when push comes to shove, you see how much concern there is among the radical feminists for the rights of women. It's like if the pushing those rights forward doesn't also at the same time undermine the Western patriarchy, then we'll take the undermining and leave the damn rights behind. And so there's an insight for you about exactly what's going on at the bottom of all this.
Is he suggesting that feminists should go over to Saudi Arabia and protest?
He's...
it's... Postmodernists don't believe
it's like the first
I understand. Look, what he said is kind of what I said. Like when he mentioned, are you good enough to step down? When he was talking about communism, right? Marxism. Are you good enough to step down? That is, like I reiterated before, that is always the point of communism where it goes wrong. Because he is right. And that's, I wouldn't necessarily say that the book of Marxism and communism is perfect. I absolutely do not think that. I think that the alternative, which is full-on capitalism, is also not great. I think we need a healthy mix of every type of political, like we need conservatism too. How do you say it? We need all of that in place to keep us in check.
Yes.
Yeah. I get where he's coming from, but he did make a couple of statements that like, why would feminists in the United States go to Saudi Arabia? That's up to them.
Right. So that part is beside the point.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Yeah. I should stop the clip before that part. But
I'll forget that then. I'll forget about that part.
But to me, he was talking about Gad Saad with the feminist thing. It was more a joke. It was kind of to point out the fact,
women's basketball.
Yeah. Oh, you care about women's rights? Well, then why don't you go march in Saudi Arabia?
Kind of like women's basketball, right?
It's not
that would be a better comparison because that's in the United States. Like feminists are not going to women's basketball games, but they complain about the payment of women players versus male players when they don't have the attendance and they don't make the same amount of money. Would be right. Do you not agree with that?
I don't think it's getting to the point that bit was about.
Just when he mentioned about the going to Saudi Arabia.
Right. So he's not suggesting women should go to Saudi Arabia in March.
Oh, that's what I thought.
It's a sarcastic, like,
Sure.
why don't you go there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Because really bad stuff would happen to you. So why aren't you speaking out against it? Oh, because it would be like xenophobic and racist for you to do that. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Speak out against what?
To speak out against what's going on in Saudi Arabia. It would be like anti-Muslim and
Oh,
yeah.
really? Oh, well, right now that's not the case. You know, Qatar, the World Cup. You know about all that, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, I mean, it's, you know, Americans were going over there and they were promised that we would be able to drink and do whatever, but they have, you know, Sharia law over there.
Yeah.
Like women have to be covered and all kinds of things, and you cannot be gay. If you are gay, they will kill you.
Okay, I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah. It's like we have been made aware of it because we had to go over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before it, people were aware, obviously, but nothing is being done too because, I mean, these guys are all like these Saudis and shit. They got so much fucking money.
Yeah.
It's really hard to stand up against money like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that Saudi Arabia comment was definitely beside the point with ours. So it's particularly the part about that wasn't real Marxism. And this
people saying that.
Yes. And
they have said that.
They have said that.
Yes.
I mean,
I have heard that.
Yes. And you said it earlier too about communism.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, if you know, communism looks good on paper.
Yes.
Susceptible to corruption. But see, we wouldn't really say that as most people would
about fascism.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to make.
Okay.
The fascism thing's really clear.
Mm-hmm.
There's debate and argument on that. Radical right versus moderate right, it's kind of clear. Most people don't have problem understanding that.
Mm-hmm. But what about when they don't?
Moderates and radicals, most people aren't very clear on that.
I have a question for you then.
Okay.
What if they don't know it's fascism?
What do you mean, what if they don't know it's fascism?
Like people, you're saying the far right, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is quote unquote fascist. Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So people don't realize it's happening until it has happened. Like they start passing laws and doing shit. And then you've got people that were siding with Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who would defend, and you have to admit this,
Mm-hmm.
anything he said, the diehard Trumpers.
Sure.
Anything he said would go.
Mm-hmm.
If he said, I'm declaring martial law tomorrow and I'm going to kill all Democrats, what do you think the right would say about that? The people that you say know that fascism is bad, which this would be a form of it. What do you think they would say? Hell yeah, brother. Let's kill him.
But yeah.
They've had town halls, man.
So I would say anyone that does that says, hell yeah, man, let's do it, and then starts doing it.
Yes.
That's radical right.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
And we would know that. There would be...
January 6th, man. They almost killed those politicians, and then they could strip them of their fucking duties and shit.
I'm not saying the radical right doesn't exist and that the radical right doesn't... There's not an effect.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying when fascism is here, it's too late. They don't know that shit. And then when fascism is happening, the diehard Trump supporters, when they get thrown in jail or whatever for not paying their Trump tax or whatever it is, or killed for whatever stupid fucking reason, they go, oh shit, uh-oh, what have I done? You know, like when you're deep into fascism, it's too late.
Okay. How many media outlets during the January 6th riot were saying that this was good what they were doing?
Fox News was not being very clear, but also on January 6th, no one really knew what was going on. Right.
But since then, Fox News has been like, yeah, that wasn't really a good idea. Like
they don't talk about it. They just don't talk about it.
I don't think
I haven't seen much.
Yeah,
of that, man. Like they just don't talk about it.
So my understanding is this.
What about OAN? You know about their news organization? That's the one they ditched Fox News for. That is a fascist right wing, YouTube fucking news channel. that people are watching. Like, that's where they were saying these. I mean, how about this? Maybe not Fox News, but the politicians themselves were saying those were good people, or they were Antifa. You know, what about those? Like, I hate to do whataboutism. I don't want to do that. I hate doing it.
I think we're just going down this rabbit hole where
I know, because we both have points.
Yeah,
and I agree with you about maybe it isn't as clear about communism because it's been a while.
I think,
but there are people that do still know about it.
I think the point of it is just that, of course, people can slip into radical right ideology and people can slip into radical left ideology without them really knowing. But the public's ability to at large label and identify, this is radical right, they've gone too far, this is bad, I don't support this. The public outside of the radical right is pretty clear about separating themselves from those folks. You don't see many people that aren't radically right trying to support the January 6th thing.
No, but I have seen them call things socialism that are not socialism.
Okay, but that's beside the point.
But it's in the same. It's in the same realm. You're talking, right? Am I crazy?
But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. It's a yes or no question.
Say it again.
So other than people who are radically right, most people would say the January 6th riots were not a good thing. They're not trying to justify it, really.
I don't know, man, because there are people that may not be radically right, but they just agree with everything their side says. Like, there are uneducated people in the middle that don't have an opinion about that shit. But yes, okay, fine. If you ask the majority of people, I guess they might say it's bad.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Now,
how about giving a check to someone $1,000 during a COVID, and everyone's calling that shit socialist? That's not what socialism is.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Yeah, but that I'm not making any claims about that there.
Right.
So I'm trying to think if this is even worth continuing.
I'm not talking about the podcast. I don't know what I'm talking about, but then you're like setting me up with these scenarios that I have to agree with because you've constructed it in a way, but it's not. I mean, I can't say that.
I think I just set out to make a really simple point, and I just feel like you kind of keep like dodging it and like pushing it to the side. And like when I say, I give you a scenario like that, like January 6th riots, most people's opinion from what you see, like obviously the radical right liked that. Mm-hmm. What about people that aren't radically right? It's like, well, these other people are calling the Czechs socialism. It's like, that's not what I asked.
What about the far left that said, oh, those were just the wrong people?
What do you mean they're just the wrong people?
Have you not heard that? Where it's
about
like,
what?
Where they would have done January 6th as well, but they just weren't there.
I've never heard. I don't know what that is.
You've never heard that?
Yeah.
Like Antifa, that they want to like disrupt and destroy things. You know, like anti-fascists.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of their extreme. They're doing the same shit. It's just
okay. So yeah, I've definitely. So that was actually a good point. So the Antifa thing, and that was where I was going with the January 6th thing. And let's not even say public opinion in terms of people. Let's just talk it to the media, right?
Okay.
As far as media coverage goes, and of course we can say, well, maybe Fox News, the one right-wing radio for fucking news station, was saying, we don't know, we don't have an opinion about January 6th, we better not talk about it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, all the other major mainstream news stations,
they did have an opinion about it and said Antifa was all Antifa. It wasn't a single Trump supporter. I mean, even Congress people are still saying that. So they're feeding off of what Fox News was saying. They're making excuses. Is that not like a decent point to make? What you just said?
Maybe I misunderstood the point. I thought you were just bringing up Antifa, about like what Antifa's done outside. I didn't realize it was tied to the January 6th thing.
Well, you just mentioned, like, did you not just say that?
No, so where I was going was the January 6th thing, assuming it is radical right people that did that. Mm-hmm. And that's what most people, because what you're talking...
No, sorry. You said Fox News was like, this isn't good. Like, isn't that what you were saying? That they were probably like, this isn't great?
Yeah, I think
they weren't saying that though. They were saying this is Antifa. They were bringing people on saying, after the fact, maybe way later, but they didn't even talk about January 6th after.
So that's actually, that clarifies, because I really kind of don't know what Fox News reports. So Fox News, what you're saying, it was essentially trying to backstep and say this wasn't the radical right that did this. Yes. This was the radical left trying to pin something on the radical. Okay, so still, what January 6th happened. Now, who's behind it doesn't matter in this particular scenario. It's January 6th happened. Mm-hmm. So, news coverage, public opinion is January 6th was bad. Except the people that say January 6th was good and they support it are radical right people.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. So, now, this is where I thought you were bringing up Antifa. I thought you were talking about, well, also look at an anti-fascist group that's actually radically left and has also done dangerous, deadly things.
Yes.
And so now let's think about a lot of the news coverage.
Let me be clear, not on the same scale yet. They haven't.
I think Antifa's definitely killed more people than the January 6th riot did.
Where?
I mean, look at what is it? It's the town in Oregon that's like a sovereign fucking...
Oh, you're talking about that.
But also, also during 2020, a lot of the riots that, the media outlets
were people killed?
Mostly mostly peaceful
I know
protests.
Kyle Rittenhouse killed somebody, but I never heard about the Antifa. I heard they burned down buildings and things.
Yeah.
Never heard about anyone getting killed. I only heard about Kyle Rittenhouse shooting.
Yeah, there's definitely been some major people getting killed. People
I need to look that
getting the shit beat out of them. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's civil unrest.
Right. So, one, the fact that you haven't heard that much about that and that we have been beaten over the head with the horrendousness of this again illustrates the point I'm trying to make. There are people who are not radical leftists who say Antifa's fine, they're good, they're mostly peaceful protesters, that you can't compare them to the radical right. Mm-hmm. This is the point I'm trying to make. Where radical right groups, radical right people doing bad things, we know our shit detector goes off. We don't need to beat that dead horse as much as we need to be...
What's worse to you, riots in the street for a week or for a summer? Or... taking down the government by killing congressmen and women?
How long did that event of January 6th go on?
What was it? 4 hours or something, or maybe a little longer than that?
And how many months is a summer?
How many? But you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Antifa's not done either. They're still doing. They're still doing shit.
But after the summer, it calmed down. People were angry. Yeah. Were they killing politicians or trying to, bringing zip ties, organizing, talking to Oath Keepers, like organizations that were hell bent on taking our government down? Personally, I think that keeping our government running is better than, looting and rioting in the streets, which happens. People get pissed. Like, we're the populace. We shouldn't be killing elected officials. We need to vote, because then that leads to we're tearing down the whole government.
This
society.
Again just seems to be sidestepping the point, because it's like it is because what I'm trying to point out to you is that radical right and radical left are bad, and that they're doing bad things and people are dying at the expense of the radicals, and that in the case of the radical right activity,
bro, I said that the left is not like the radical left.
I know, but then the point that you were just making right now was like, but isn't that worse? Isn't the January 6th thing worse than Antifa? Isn't the people that died at January 6th a worse death than the people that died in the Antifa riots?
Well, I don't know those numbers, so I can't. exactly tell you that. So, by the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell everybody I am not an expert. I don't know anything.
Me either.
And
I'm
neither
just
is
talking out of
Cameron.
my ass.
Yeah, we're just arguing about things we don't know exactly what we're talking
Or
about.
actually, so we coordinated this. We called each other before. I said, Colton, I need clickbait material.
Yeah, I need
from
really
this-
confusing points from you, Colton.
Yeah.
Can you not understand my
Yeah.
points that I'm making to you?
Whatever you do, make sure neither of us make sense.
Yeah. We're just arguing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want it to turn into that. I am trying to make a point, but it's hard when I'm being given all these different scenarios. I understand what you're saying, and I am with you that violence itself is bad.
Yeah.
But it's almost like if you hit one person with a car to sacrifice them instead of, a whole bunch of people in the car. It's like, which is worse? It's not like one is okay because the other one is worse.
So
That's not the point I'm making. They're both bad. What
Yeah.
do you think is worse? A total change of government by killing and rioting, and then eventually those people that killed them were going to take their positions because there's no one to tell them no.
I think rioting where people dying is bad.
Yes, me too.
So, but to me, the point that you're trying to make, that I feel like I hear like a macro version of this is like, yeah, but wasn't Hitler worse than Stalin?
No. They're very specific things that like. Really? Is that what you think?
I don't think that's
they're both
the exact
bad.
point. But
okay, which one do you think is worse? Hitler or Stalin?
Didn't Stalin kill more people?
I thought Hitler killed 6 million Jews.
Yeah, so Hitler killed 6 million people.
How many people did Stalin kill?
Oh, let's look it
in
up.
his Holocaust?
Okay. I've heard it's a lot more.
Really?
Yes.
I have not heard this. Okay, then which one do you think is worse?
But see, should we really measure it on the body count?
It was just a question.
Yeah,
It was a hypothetical question.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose not to answer it. That's fine.
So it's close. It says,
But to be fair, that was just the Holocaust camps that Hitler killed 6 million people. That's not the total, the World War. And, I know Stalin was a part of that too.
it says, I don't know if this is a good answer, but it says, Stalin deliberately killed about 6 million, which rise to 9 million if foreseeable deaths arising from policies are taken into account. So
that's really open-ended. Yeah, that's hard to tell.
Major Soviet paper says 20 million died as victims of Stalin.
Okay,
So
I'll give
it's
you
all
that.
over the place. But
I guess
but again,
asking you that question is not fair.
Right. Well, I
guess.
Yeah, but I think the point I'm trying to make there is with trying to say which one's worse between Antifa and January 6th riots. I mean, look, I personally think Antifa has done more stuff, but I'm not saying that. To me, I see radical right, radical left. They're both bad, and I'm not here to measure which one's worse. I think the point I'm trying to make, and I think you agree with me, is that the radical right is very easily identifiable, where the radical left is not. And it's reflected in the fact that we're having this argument because we both agree that this is bad over here. But when we start talking about the radical left stuff, these points come up where it's like, well, that wasn't real communism, or communism looks good on paper, but isn't what January 6th is worse than Antifa? See, that's what I mean, is that what you're doing is a reflection of the problem that I'm talking about, where like this thing we both agree on, this thing we have an argument. That's the focus here, not even the contents of the argument.
But weren't you just asking me which one was worse? Isn't that what this whole conversation was?
No.
You're trying to get me to admit that the left is just as bad as the right.
No.
That's what that whole Jordan Peterson thing is it not?
I guess, but that's not the point of what I'm trying to make. I'm
Then
saying
what is the point you're trying to make?
the point? The
point is you want me to say, yeah, I guess they're both pretty equally bad, right? That's what you want me to say.
No. The point I'm trying to... We got into this because we started talking about Jordan Peterson, and you said he's a political mouthpiece for the right, denouncing radical left ideology, right? So why doesn't he do the same with the right? So I illustrated that point by talking to you about how the right, the radical right thing, It's a very clear
not
thing
as
that most people
clear.
Yeah, is more clear,
Sure.
and most people don't need to have their education on that line being beaten on their head anymore because that problem is not manifest in our reality. Our reality, he's focusing on. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like Jordan Peterson is a surgeon, right? And this person is having a heart attack, right? But you know, if someone's liver were to fail or their brain were let's say that the right is the heart and the left is the fucking brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so this person's having I guess I have this reversed for this analogy. So this person's having a brain aneurysm, right? Something's going really wrong up here.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to figure that out. This is where the diagnosis needs play. Can
you understand why I'm confused with all?
Yeah, but do you understand the point though? It's like the reason why he's focusing on this radical left thing and not giving as much attention to the radical right problem is we don't need to have this conversation.
The radical right voted Donald Trump into presidency. I mean, and centrist.
Yeah.
But they mostly were radical rights. Mm-hmm. How is that not a alarming thing, right? And then they caused January 6th. I mean, you're saying we don't have to talk about this thing, but it's becoming more and more popular. Fascism is growing. Look at Italy. They just elected their openly fascist leader. We're just steps away, and they say the same exact stuff that the right is saying here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying, that maybe we do need to put some more attention on the left. I will admit that. We do need to criticize everybody. But I don't think that... I think that the right is working towards a more dictator type situation, because they're taking rights away from people. I mean, they just got rid of abortions, which has been, in this country for decades.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there is more of a danger on the right. And Jordan Peterson can have his opinion all he wants. I get where he's coming from.
Okay.
Because when the left gets too much, it's bad.
This helps. Okay. So so this is perfect. So and I think to the anatomy analogy was really confusing. So this is a better one.
Yeah, just a couple of the analogies I think I got lost on.
So okay,
nothing personal.
I understand.
I love you.
My analogies are
say it back.
Strange. I love you too.
Thank you.
For sure. And
people are gonna watch this and go crazy.
I know it's gonna be so funny.
This might be the worst one you've ever done.
This was really interesting. I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think people will enjoy the debate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're pretty even keeled here, and we're both
okay. I just hope I'm not sounding too stupid here.
No, I'm sure I sound stupid too. Yeah. But I think so. Let's say this: we both agree death is bad.
Yes.
Okay. So death is bad.
Well,
so look, two people are dying.
Sort of. Uh-huh.
Two people are dying, right? One's on one side of the
no, one's worse.
Person A is dying on this side of the room, and person B is dying on this side of the room. There's 10 other people in the room, and they're all going to help person A over there, but no one's helping person B, right? Uh-huh. No one's going over there to diagnose that complicated situation of what's going on with him. Why is no one helping him? Why can no one see that this man's dying? Mm-hmm. So to me, I don't think Jordan is doing this denouncing of radical left ideology as a hatred for the left. He actually is, when you dig into his stuff, he's someone who says, I've historically been someone who's actually much more left-leaning. That's why a lot of my colleagues find it so funny that I've become this right-wing political pundit that people identify with alt-right and radical right and that kind of thing. It's kind of
Same
ironic.
With Joe Rogan.
Yeah. You go back.
Same thing.
Yeah. He's a similar case as Joe Rogan, for sure.
Yes.
And so when you go back to all my lectures that are online, you can see me pretty even keeled denouncing communism, denouncing fascism. Hitler was very bad. I say it so many fucking times in my lectures. It's crazy that I'm called a Nazi. It's hilarious.
I don't think he should be called a Nazi. I don't ever think that. I don't. Right. I just think that the lane that he's taking is probably making him some money. And
sure, of course. He's monetizing.
And he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but
the point I was making is that he's making money off of making statements that are sort of right wing. I mean, don't you think? Occasionally.
But see, right wing in the sense where we both agree that we need the right and the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
and that they establish a necessary balance in our society, right? The left is trying to progress us and move us forward with new ideas,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But if the left totally had their way unchecked by the right, we might implement some new ideas that haven't really been thought out, and they might be messy and cause some serious problems. So we have the right who's trying to conserve what's already working to slow the left down so we can implement these new ideas within reason and at a reasonable rate, right? And sometimes the right maybe gets things passed that actually...
Well, the right wants to walk back sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And that happens sometimes. We risk that. Like, as much as we risk implementing a new idea that hurts us, we also risk devolving a little bit with some right policies. Right. So it's that. And I think it's a specific, nuanced view about the current state of the Western world. And it's this... And again, this view might be wrong.
So how do you feel about Elon?
We can get into that.
Only because it does tie into this. That's why I mentioned Jordan Peterson, because...
Can I make a guess?
Sure.
You don't like Elon.
I just don't think he's as smart as everyone gives him credit for, but I don't hate him. I think that he's a rich dude that thought he could buy Twitter and everyone was going to like him.
Maybe.
And look, what he did with Tesla, electric cars, is pretty progressive towards getting everyone to use electric cars. The issue I have with that is we're not at a point where electric cars will do anything for the environment, because it takes a ton of resources to make an electric car, batteries, digging, for the elements and things. This is where I'm not super liberal, is because we are not at a point where we can charge these cars quickly and efficiently to make it worth our time.
Yeah.
Currently, it takes so much oil just to make an electric fucking car.
Yeah.
Like almost as much as an oil pumps out and all that.
Okay. So, a few things here. Now, I think the first point I want to get your opinion on is, of the handful of, popular billionaires out there, let's just throw up two others to compare to
only cool ones, please.
Yeah, let's throw up Bill Gates and then let's throw up Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah.
Of Elon, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, who do you like more? Who do you think's cooler?
That's so tough, because I don't like them all.
Okay,
like
that's fair.
Well, then again, I don't hate Elon. I just think that he is pretty stupid.
That's fine.
That's it.
That's fine to think that.
Yeah. I don't hate. Maybe. I guess maybe Bill Gates, but I don't exactly like all the things that I've heard in the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So maybe Bill Gates, I would have liked him more about 10 years ago. Probably Elon more than Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I think
because Elon has done cooler things,
and that's the point I was trying to make.
Besides Microsoft.
Yeah, because to me, I
mean, Bill Gates made computers.
I think I would, my list would be, I think Elon's the coolest, Jeff Bezos is number 2 to me, and then
as
Bill
far
Gates
as cool,
is number 3.
Oh, as far as cool factor.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant who did I like more as like their career.
Well, that's fine too. And then the
cool
career,
factor, Jeff Bezos, because he made a dick rocket that looks like a penis, and he wears cool sunglasses and leather jackets.
I think I meant more like
their business, or
but and then also have you watched Louis C.K.'s newest special? Sorry,
I have not.
Okay,
no.
So he has a bit in there where he talks about it's like 10 minutes of pedophile stuff, and it's so good. Like it's really good.
Yeah, he can do that.
Yeah, I actually kind of like to show it to you before you leave, not on the podcast.
Okay, yeah. Because maybe it depends on what time it is. We've been talking for a while.
We have. It's 6:28.
Okay, I'm fine. I mean, we can do another half hour or something.
Okay, that's fine. You want me to tell you when it's like 7?
Sure.
Okay.
Or if you want to go 6 hours, that's fine.
I mean, I don't care.
I'll talk to you all night.
Louis has his joke where he's talking about pedophiles, and then he eventually gets to the topic of Michael Jackson, right?
Okay.
And he's like, Michael Jackson, king of pop, made amazing music, did some other stuff too, and I think that's what he says about Elon, about Michael, and so then he gets to this point where he's talking about. He makes his point earlier. It's like, there will always be pedophiles. I know that's not a very enlightening point, you wouldn't use that as a fridge magnet.
Sure.
But he's like, so he comes back to that point and he's like, look, there's going to be pedophiles. No pedophiles is not on the menu. Yeah. Right? So if we're going to have pedophiles, would you rather have pedophiles that make beautiful music or ones that don't? Mm-hmm. And so that,
I see.
And so that's what I'm saying about in the billionaire thing. It's like, would you rather have a billionaire who's blowing his money on his own personal interest, like buying big ass houses and super yachts and whatever, or would you have ones that are making cool shit? And now we can get into the nitty gritty about, well, electric cars aren't really benefiting us that much, and why is he wasting his money on reusable rockets, and why is he doing that with Twitter? And
I'm only saying currently, because in the future it will be like actually practical to have electric cars. It's just we're not there yet.
Yeah. Well, look, I personally on that front,
I'm not against electric cars. Yeah. I just want to say that.
I think
I'm very for them.
I think electric cars are good, and I think it's and how much positive impact they have, I really don't know. I'm too stupid to know. But
no one knows
to me,
yet.
I feel like it's probably good. And if anything, it's a cool car, and that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's made it. It looks nice, and
they go fast.
And it's a really interesting thing because think about before Tesla. Think about how cool electric cars were.
Not at all.
People thought the Prius was gay as hell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
So he made the electric car cool, and now there's so many fucking people that have Teslas.
Yes.
So that's a net good.
Yeah, like that's why I said I don't hate the guy.
Yeah.
I think that he's just not as smart as he thought.
Maybe.
That's all. That's the only opinion I really have on him. I think the Neuralink is crazy.
It is wild.
I don't think everyone's going to have that. I think that's going to be for people who are disabled and that need it.
Yeah. I think there's probably going to be a lot of pushback on that being as common as a cell phone.
You mentioned Bill Gates.
Yeah.
You put a microchip in me? Hell no. You want to put a Neuralink in me? Hell yeah, brother. Cut my head open.
Exactly.
Cool with that. Not cool with microchip.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, because I've listened to Elon in a number of long form podcasts, and there's something about him where he feels genuine to me. Mm-hmm. Like he, and maybe he's just really great at manipulating the public.
I think more likely than him being actually genuine, but I don't know. I've never met the guy.
Yeah,
if I heard him talk in person, I could tell. You can feel people's energy and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I think. Look, I've heard that he inherited a lot of wealth from his family. The emerald mining and shit, and that's dirty money and whatever. But to me, it's like, think about you. Like, imagine if you inherited hundreds of millions of dollars when you were, young, and what are you supposed to do? Kill yourself? Like.
Give it all back to Africa.
Yeah, and
South Africa.
I've gotten an argument about this. It's like, well, I hate what he's using the money with. Electric cars are not that great, and the reusable rockets they're useless. It's like,
I don't think that at all.
Yeah. So you seem a little more close to how I feel than this particular individual, but
that's why I don't even consider myself like left, because left will be immediately they'll say, like, the reason Jordan Peterson I don't like him is because he has done things that make me cringe. Elon does too, but not on the same level. Yeah, because Elon is a higher status, so he doesn't have to grovel and shit like that.
And look, I will get on the whole not liking Jordan Peterson because of him making money off of his political opinions. Let's simplify it to that.
Yeah, and I guess I don't hate him personally. I can never like Hitler, man. Like, I don't hate Hitler.
I like Hitler.
I'm a Christian. Oh, this podcast took a turn.
Yeah, that was the whole point. I was just like, I'm gonna get a real heated argument. We're gonna be in the middle of like, no, you're a fucking radical, right? And fucking, I missed it. Damn it, I can't hit the button.
Oh shit! All right. I don't like.
I was going to make a point to give you something here. I was going to say, look, there are things that even as familiar with Jordan and as much as I respect him that have made me go a little bit like, but also I still understand it. But like,
of course,
like his joining the Daily Wire, I think is a little cringy. But also, as someone who consumes his content's gotten like higher quality, and he has access to amazing guests, and it's still good.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah.
Because, I would, because it's Twitter too, like that. I see Jordan Peterson responding, and I did watch some videos where he, like when he says the Saudi Arabia thing, I'm like, fuck. There are there are certain people that say dumb fucking shit when they're on a roll. You know, I just think he's one of those guys. I don't hate him. Like, I really don't hate anybody because I don't know. And I'm, like you said, we're consuming all this through the media, through a third party, and they can decide how we feel.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, these things can really shape, the way that you're introduced to certain people. You know, like, I'm not saying this was you, but so many people's introduction to Jordan Peterson is not
mine was different.
Through seeing him on a podcast and then seeing his lectures. And then after they understand, oh, okay, I like this guy. He's saying some good stuff, and it's actually useful. Yeah, every once in a while he says some political thing that I don't know if I agree with, or maybe whatever.
Everybody
but otherwise,
does that.
I've actually gotten a lot out of the books of his I've read. He made some really amazing points that I've never thought about that way. You know, really spelled out some fundamental truths that I've gotten back in touch with and have improved my life. Yeah. And now I'm seeing all these articles that are calling him a right-wing Nazi. What? Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I never agree with that. Yeah, I would never call him a Nazi.
So a lot of people's introduction to him is the inverse, right? First seeing the article and then the article linking to a particular clip where they have framed a story around that clip. It's like, wow, okay, yeah, these words in the context of this article sure sound like some right-wing Nazi shit.
Then the clickbait, is Jordan Peterson a Nazi?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they love to do that. It's disgusting, motherfuckers. Yeah. The media just really, the last few years really got me like furious, you know.
But yeah, I think just across the board, in terms of Elon and Jordan Peterson and Donald Trump, I mean, just all these controversial figures to me, and they're all very different. But I just want to say, like, what I feel like I'm against at large is just having a vocal negative opinion about these individuals that are big, because it's just like, I don't fucking really know them.
Yeah, well, people are bitter too.
Yeah, people are full of bitterness and resent. In fact, this is actually a really interesting point that
I don't want to forget my thing, but go ahead. Keep going.
Tell me a key word to remind you.
I think I already forgot.
Damn it. All right. Well.
Oh wait, no, I got it. Elon Musk, free speech.
Okay, that's a good topic.
Yeah. Because it's the only thing about Musk that I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? Like, certain things. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so one really amazing, interesting thing I've gotten out of Jordan Peterson's material is...
Don't say material.
Like, because we're talking about in common.
Because it makes it seem like...
This Jordan Peterson bit.
It's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh shit, is he a character, dude?
There actually is this clip of him, like, giving one of these... So I was going to talk about his biblical lectures for a second. And there's one of him doing these biblical lectures. He talks about this hypothetical breakfast from hell. And it really is like a stand-up comedy bit where he's going on for like 5, maybe even 10 minutes, where he's describing, like...
He does a lot of jokes.
In detail, like, just the worst diner experience you could have. And he's like, just a graphic detail. It's funny watching him do it. But anyway, because it really is like a stand-up comics delivery. Anyway, so this idea he talks about a lot, about looking at biblical stories from a psychological perspective, right? Like the story of Adam and Eve, what it actually psychologically represents is the I guess rise or sudden onset of self-aware consciousness in human beings. It's not about the actual first people that are born that God just put suddenly. Sure. It's the first people that woke up and were like, "What? I'm naked and I'm ashamed." Yeah.
Shame. Yeah,
so,
of course.
So one early story, he talks about the story of Cain and Abel. He talks about what they represent archetypally, like characters, and how like they're spirits, like fundamental.
Brothers that
they're brothers.
The son?
Yeah. So Cain killed Abel. And it's basically
that's right.
Yeah. They're brothers and Cain killed Abel.
That's right.
So, the reason why is basically it tells the story very briefly.
Because God told him?
No.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So it's basically, they're both, men of God. They both believe in God. Yeah. Abel's having a good go at it. Good things are happening for Abel.
That's right. Okay.
And bad things are happening for Cain. And but they're both praying to God, right? They're both praying for good stuff, but Abel's getting it and his life is good, and then Cain is watching his life not be good and Abel's life be good. And there's like, what am I doing wrong, God? I'm praying to you and you're not giving me the same stuff as him. Why is my life bad? I've been praying to you. How dare you, God? Well, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to kill my brother. And so he kills Abel. And so this is about these fundamental spirits of bitterness and resentment in Cain.
Yes.
And then the Abel and ability and expansion and creativity and focusing on the positive of Abel. Essentially, this is,
Okay. Sure. Of course. Yeah.
And so, and I see that spirit in these assessments of like, Elon Musk, fuck this guy. It's all about, it's all about your own personal resentment and these things of like, this senator here was like, I fucking hate Biden. I fucking hate Trump, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you don't know these fucking people, And
I think you can hate people based on their actions.
Sure, but
hate is such a strong word, man.
So let's make a really extreme example here. And where I think if you listen to that whole podcast, you listen to the whole podcast with me and my brother. Mm-hmm. So at the end where I kind of like half defend Kanye saying I like Hitler and like.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so
I heard you say that.
You heard? Yeah. I defend.
I heard you say I love Hitler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's
you were saying he came at it from a Christian point of view,
yes.
As in I do not hate anybody,
yes.
Because that is not very Christian.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that there's real value in that for you and the effect you have on people if you actually go, yes, of course there's reasons to hate this person, right? Mm-hmm. This person who has wronged me personally, this person from history who killed 6 million people, right? Of course, I do not stand with his actions. I don't like his ideas. He had bad ideas. I do not want to repeat what he did in history. We need to avoid that at all costs. I don't think that me hating him and transmuting that hate, it's basically taking the evil he did, having that in you, and then affecting the world around you by spreading more hate. Whether you think, well, it's in the right direction, I'm hating the right people. No, not really a good justification. Mm-hmm. You should be like, no. Hate is bad. It doesn't matter who I'm hating, even if I'm hating someone who is morally wrong in my view and the view of the entire world at large. It's let's say, I love you. Mm-hmm. I love you and I respect you as a human being. And
here's where he slipped up.
Yeah.
When he criticized Jewish people pretty aggressively and said what was it? DEFCON?
I'm going DEFCON 4 or DEFCON 5.
So when you say that and then a month later you go on a podcast and say,
I like Hitler.
I don't hate Hitler or whatever he said, whatever exact word.
It's panning off. It's like,
he knows what he's doing.
The fact that he was on InfoWars.
What the fuck?
That's honestly, when I heard about it,
and he had the mask on. Yeah.
I got to say, but again, also what I was saying about Kanye in terms of him as a performance artist, I just feel like he's really like modern Andy Kaufman level of just fucking with the zeitgeist of the world. And it's even better because Andy Kaufman was known as a performer who's trying to do anti-comedy things, but still in the realm of comedy.
Yeah.
Right? He's not a comedian, but he is on SNL and he is a comic performer. Yeah, he's a comedy performer.
Right.
And it's unique and it's his own thing. Kanye West is taking himself as a celebrity who is not in comedy. He's in music and fashion and all sorts of that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, when he does these stunts, it's like a curveball, and people are more inclined to take it as genuine and serious, where like it could be completely genuine and serious and a product of serious mental illness, mm-hmm. or it could be from a place of cold, cunning, calculated Andy Kaufman, like, oh, I'm going to lean into this character, or it could be this kind of balance between the two, where it's like.
But what are the results saying? The results from what he said are not, man, this guy's a comedic genius. Holy shit, he's trolling everybody. The results were, holy shit, this guy is an anti-Semitic and hates Jewish people and likes Hitler. Like if it is so calculated, he fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Big fucking time. Who the fuck told him that was a good idea?
Yeah. It could definitely be.
Also, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
When you, in the last podcast, you were like, I don't.
So, to clarify, it's not going to be the last one. It's going to be about like four
podcasts ago. My bad.
No, it's okay.
You with your brother. The first podcast. Yeah. You said, oh shit, I had it. You said you're not against anything unless it like directly causes violence or harms people. Mm-hmm. Like you don't think that, you
think the mic up a little more.
Sorry. You don't think that as long as it's not hurting anybody. Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah,
is that good?
Sorry.
Okay. As long as it's not hurting anybody, then it's fine. Do you think that about like a direct or indirect correlation between things you say? So if Kanye goes on, says all this shit about Jewish people, and that he doesn't hate Hitler, and then some guy's listening and goes, shit, finally, man, yeah, let's go do, and then he ends up hurting somebody. Do you, in that case, how do you feel about the free speech thing? Like if it's indirectly causing a violent act?
Yeah. So to me, I think that this idea that, here's an example. Here's what Kanye did say, right? He said, I like Hitler. I love Hitler.
Yeah, I don't hate anybody.
Yeah,
right?
I don't hate anybody. I love Nazis.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
I love everybody. I love Jewish people. I love not.
He did.
Yeah, he
pepper
did.
that in.
Yeah, he did.
I couldn't remember.
He said it's basically like, I love Jeffrey Dahmer. I love Nazis. I love Jewish people. I love everyone who's wronged me. I love them all.
Mm-hmm.
But so he can say that. And then he can say, well, Nazis did some good. Hitler invented the microphone, which isn't true,
No.
but he said, now for someone to watch that and then go, well, I'm going to go out and hurt some Jews now. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem to make much sense. Now, if Kanye did go on there and he said, I'm mad at
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, but if Kanye said, I am mad at the Jewish people. For all my fans out there or anyone listening, I need you to go out there and harm some Jewish people.
Right.
That is not good.
Right.
Right. So, yes, I think that words, when they're used as like direct threats or they are direct incitements of violence, then sure. But I don't,
he did with Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
I guess then my point is that Kanye has done this in the past where he has sort of taken his audience because whether he meant to or not, people in the streets were yelling out, yo, Skeet, we're going to kill you. And he had to go to fucking therapy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Kanye definitely look, and I'm not saying anyone's perfect, and certainly not Kanye.
No. I'm not trying to get you to say
But
I'm trying to just curious.
Yeah. So with the Pete Davidson thing, now he did obviously vocalize his upset with Pete Davidson and started talking shit and harassing him and all that. And to me, I found a lot of that entertaining.
Very. Yeah. But if it caused any type of violence, it's
now,
not good.
And then people started doing that, right? And then of course Kanye got word that was happening, and that's not good. And so he did go on there online. He did. He had a tweet or like a whole Instagram post.
Oh, this was weeks though. Like this, it took him a while.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he did eventually go on there and say like, don't hurt him.
But they had they had some time. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. He did eventually say something. Sure.
Yeah.
With Trump? No. Sorry, that was just a throwaway line. Keep going.
But also, even in the January 6th case, a lot of people like try to blame Trump for that. And it's like, even in his tweets before he got banned, he was saying, don't do anything like that.
When?
I think I can pull up his last few tweets.
He came on. I remember that day very well. He came on and was like, everybody go home. You did a great job. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. That's what he said.
Right. Well, he was holding...
He waited.
So
gave that announcement.
Do you know about the Alex Jones documentary?
Which one?
What's it called? It's by a female documentary filmmaker.
If it's 2,000 Mules, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
No. Okay. It was like released within the last year.
So I think, that was 2 years ago, I think.
It's called Alex's War.
Oh, about
Alex.
Yeah.
So it was basically, he granted access to this filmmaker. I want to say her name because I don't want to mull over that. But it was a good documentary. She actually had like kind of a close look on him, and then they specifically like the third act of it is Alex Jones at the Capitol riots because they were there.
Oh, he was very much against it, the violence.
Yes,
yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember all of it. I watched it very intently. Yeah.
So let's see.
He was like, "Come on, guys, get away from the Capitol. What are you doing? We're going this way," or whatever. He was trying to get him to go the other way.
Yeah, this is the most recent tweet he pretty much said about this is Trump. He said, I am asking everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and great men and women in blue.
Was that on the 6th?
Yeah.
What
January
time?
6th,
what
2021.
What time?
3:13.
Okay, so That was a couple hours after the attack. I want to say, when was the attack?
I don't know.
I think it was in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then you have Lauren Boebert tweeting, "This is our, what was it, July 4th or whatever, our Independence Day. We're taking it back."
Okay. Yeah.
And then you had a lot of those. I think Trump was saving face.
Maybe.
Because it was hours
Again,
after.
maybe Trump's saving face hours later. Maybe Kanye saving face a week later. But let's think about this too.
That doesn't excuse the violence and shit.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
But again, I'm not in this place to really pin that blame fully on Trump wholeheartedly. I just think that, like, in the case of, it's like saying, oh, people are going to go out and start hurting Jews because of what Kanye's saying, right? That's on those people that are doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone who's...
But January 6th, they literally blocked the National Guard from coming in. Like, about that, right? Like the hearing, they talked to whoever was in charge. Like they tried to call Trump. He wouldn't answer. Then they tried to call people that worked underneath him that could call it off or get at least some police in there. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't answer. Nancy Pelosi, who I don't really care for, was like they filmed her calling people for hours. Like, hey, we're locked in this fucking room. We can't get, they're attacking. Can we please get some National Guard here? It took hours.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and they all left on their own.
Okay.
There was no National Guard.
So in this, obviously you and I, neither one of us were there. Right. And so we can certainly dig up all sorts of evidence and stories that go to both sides of the spectrum of that will, one, be a conspiracy about how Donald Trump was completely removed and completely innocent and had nothing to do with the violence. And then we can go to a conspiracy theory. He's directly involved and he was totally putting on a face and trying to cover it up. Have
you seen any of the hearings for January 6th?
No.
Oh, well, I've seen a lot of it. He was pretty tied in. Okay. They're about to indict him. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I'm just saying, man. Yeah. I know the whole thing was just like about the direct and indirect thing. But what he did was kind of indirectly cause a lot of violence.
Okay, so let me give you a really...
And you're saying and you were saying you don't think that he...
I'm saying I don't
necessarily to blame.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know. I don't think so.
That's fine.
Because I think, again, I don't think he ever said, all right, my fellow Republicans, go storm the Capitol.
Yes, he did. Well, he didn't say... He didn't say, go in there and start killing everybody. He said, okay, everybody, we're moving to the Capitol. We're going over there. We're going to go now. Come on. We're going to show them what America's about. You can watch the speech before. And then when Giuliani says, we're going to have trial by combat. Do you remember him saying that? It was so great.
No.
This fucking little rat man. He's just like, we're going to have trial by combat.
Yeah. Look, man, I really don't know the details of this thing. And so I'd be dumb to try to make a definitive claim. But
I was only making a point about direct and indirect violence. That's all I was trying to say.
Can I make a really silly analogy?
Yes. Make your little analogy.
So,
I hate your analogy.
The season 3 episode of Rick and Morty
I hate you.
came out.
Pickle Rick?
And there was...
Oh, yeah.
There's all these
the Szechuan thing.
All these Rick and Morty fans who were running in McDonald's and jumping on the tables and be like, I want Szechuan sauce. I'm Pickle Rick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Was that a direct or indirect?
Now, should Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon be indicted for the violence upon various McDonald's across the nation? Who also, by the way, never came out, not even hours or weeks later, against the violence.
Right.
So, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, I'm calling you out for national destruction and damage for Pickle Rick.
Yeah. Fucking terrible analogy.
It's tyranny.
Horrible analogy. Has nothing to do with the other, but sure.
Yeah. Look, Colton, this episode has really helped me solidify my position
that I hate you
as a new wave pseudo-intellectual.
Yeah. Good.
It's 6:54. I'm down to keep going, but if you want to wrap this up and get to open mic,
let's have the longest podcast you've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I did want to touch on the Elon thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't
Elon
like
Musk
about
free
him,
speech.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about
we might actually agree here.
Yeah, because he implemented a couple of stupid rules that the parody thing and what else? Well, he just started banning journalists and stuff for posting his doxed location or whatever.
So I do agree that doxing is bad.
Yes.
And he was doing that not just for him, but for all journalists who were doing it to anyone, even backlogging it to journalists who had done it to other people before. Mm-hmm. And so that I actually supported that move because to me, that seems to be a potential violent threat to be doxing, public figures in their exact location.
But it's like, apparently it's not super private information. It's stuff that people could find if they did the research. So it's not exactly doxing. It's more, hey, we're just highlighting this thing that you can already find with like air traffic and shit like that. Like they can.
Sure, but I think but think about it like this: like if the journalist has a lot of followers and the followers are watching what they're saying, it's like, and also the journalist is at the same time spreading a narrative that is about Elon Musk is evil and he's doing bad, right? So it's like, it's these people who otherwise weren't looking for his exact location are now being fed his exact location in tandem with Elon bad. Mm-hmm.
So, like, what about TMZ? They dox people all the time.
Sure.
Like, hey, this person's in the Bahamas right now. Like perfectly
but not
acceptable.
Like the Bahamas at the Hilton Hotel in room 304.
Well, they will give the hotel. I mean, how much information do you need to be doxxed? Like when they were giving Elon's location, it was like he's at this airport.
Yeah.
Here's his plane. It's also not like an exact location.
I ain't trying to fucking stand up for TMZ.
No. I'm just saying, where's the line? Like to me, doxing is somebody who is not a public figure who maybe voices an opinion and then everyone gives out their exact address, their name, their phone number. Like maybe they were trying to remain anonymous. Elon Musk is a public figure. Yeah. He owns Twitter. I don't know.
But also, another thing to Elon's credit, even though I still think the doxing is bad and I actually am not against that policy, he did do a poll like pretty much the next day and he was like, should I reinstate all the counts who doxed me and everyone else? And the poll said yes. Yeah, right. And so he's like, okay, they're all back.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he made the decision sort of off emotion.
Yeah. Do you know what happened to him though? Like when he decided to go straight into implementing that?
What do you mean? What like exactly happened? I know the kid was tweeting his location on Twitter for years.
Right. So yeah, that was the plan. So that it wasn't.
He banned him.
Right, but he did that because his baby, the one that's X something or whatever, was in a car. And then someone doxed the location of that car, and then some like strange person like pulled up next to the car, like jumped on the hood of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I got doxed, and then a real person jumped on the hood of this car that my baby was traveling in.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I should deal with this doxing thing right now.
When it has to do with your baby, yeah. Because I'm talking about Elon himself, not necessarily his family, who should be protected. Yeah.
Right.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what set it off. That's why that happened, and then his attention was on doxing.
Sure.
Right. Because he had Twitter for a few weeks prior, and that Elon's jet thing had existed for a while. Yes. He did not jump on that or even mention it. So it was just like, okay, I'm going about my business. I'm trying to do Twitter or whatever. Like, what happened to my son in the car? Okay, it's because of a doxing thing. All right, let me just deal with doxing right now. Yeah. Okay, no
Did
doxing.
Elon ever talk about that? I was looking at his Twitter and never heard anything about his son.
So he didn't. I think other people had to report that detail, but what he did tweet himself, it was a video, and it's probably taken it down since, but he posted a video of the guy who jumped on the car like in a mask. And someone like security got this video. Like he's like, does anyone know who this is?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got to explain that shit. Like I've looked through all of his tweets. I never saw.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of people that were explaining it.
Oh well, that's hard to find. I got to dig. I mean, I'm looking at his tweets. Like I'd like to hear it from his mouth. When he was explaining to the journalist about it.
He might have said it himself somewhere.
He never said it to the journalist though. Like he got into that meeting. I listened to that whole meeting, and he was just like, no doxing, you're done. And then he got off the call.
But
I get he's mad. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I totally get the point you're saying, and that's not cool if that's what happened. But we don't know.
Yeah. So my beef with Elon, like the one criticism I have that I do like pretty
the parody
pretty
thing?
solid on. No, I don't even really care about that because that
Okay.
makes sense because it's kind of like what Facebook has done in terms of like you can't really make a fake name on there, or it's difficult to change your name because they would prefer. Why Facebook I think at one point implemented you have to put in your driver's license to confirm that you're actually who you are. And I don't think that's
Whoa.
across the board the case.
Yeah, I've never did that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not doing
I
that.
didn't have to either,
Fuck
but I
no.
think it's you can't like anyway. It's to try to verify who people are so no one can pretend to be someone else and
Yes.
and actually trick people because people are making all these fake Elon Musk accounts and saying things that were causing harm, like Elon said this, and it's like so it makes sense. And to me I don't really feel like that really violates free speech because to me it's about the speech is about the sharing of ideas and talking out things and communicating and if you can't pretend to be someone else, to me that's not like, well, we need that to progress. It's like that's fun, and it would be cool to be able to do that. But
part of free speech.
yeah, maybe I suppose, but I
where's the line?
I get. But to me,
He's okay with racial slurs and all that, but as soon as someone makes a parody account, I get because Twitter is so big and it did cause a disruption in Wall Street.
well, okay. So another thing too
Yeah.
is you can't change your name if you have the blue check mark. But you still can totally change it all you want if you don't have the blue check mark.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that makes sense because the blue check
You're
mark,
like verified.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that makes sense. Like, okay, if you can just pay to verify yourself, if it's that easily accessible, you're gonna have a blue check mark because the blue check mark signals to people this is the actual person they say they are.
Yeah, I think
Then
it's a sloppy,
in that case, yeah, to me,
it's
it's
a
just,
sloppy approach because there are other better verification. I mean, I can't name one off the top of my head, but there are some, I guess that, or if he thought it out more instead of just banning, like putting his finger on the button, it just felt like he was kind of like real quick to like get rid of people. Especially with the parody.
I don't know.
He didn't give people time.
Yeah.
You got to give people time to realize, oh fuck, yeah, we're not supposed to do this. I guess that maybe that's why he banned people.
yeah.
What's the thing that you don't like about Elon?
Well, it's that his mission going into buying Twitter, to my understanding, was him coming from a free speech absolutist perspective, and he has since proven himself to not be that. Which would, if you want to be nitpicky and lump the inability to do the parody account with the blue verified check mark as part of that, sure, I'm not personally worried about that, and I understand
it's
that
not a huge
as
deal,
a platform.
Sure.
Yeah, because to me, I think that's less about blocking someone's freedom to speak, and that's more about creating stipulations,
Trust in the website as well.
Yeah, we're creating stipulations for what the platform is. We want it to be real people communicating with each other. We would really kind of like to end the anonymous trolls on this site, and that's you're not going to do that, right? But we would like to limit the prevalence or the impact or the power people can have in the trolling. So it's like if it just is staying with the people who don't have a blue check mark, then their reach isn't going to be as significant. They can't do as much damage with like really calculated trolling,
like bots and stuff. Yeah,
it's, to me, it's a form of damage control. But anyway, we don't need to dig any more into that. But it's that it's proven to not be a totally free speech thing. He does keep implementing more rules, or like preserving some of Twitter's old rules of like, flagging tweets, and you can't like here's for example, I tweeted I very much don't like TikTok. I'm very upset with TikTok because like
I love your TikToks.
Well, I probably noticed I've been posting a lot less the past month because they keep banning TikToks of mine.
Really?
Yeah, and it's for like little things that like, dude, like so I posted a clip from Shit Show that had Kirby Sherbert shooting himself in the head.
Oh, yeah. Self-harm.
Yeah, there it goes. So but before I did that, I was like, wait, does TikTok not allow guns? And I looked it up, and there's all sorts of people with guns. And they're like, okay,
yeah,
I can put this up. And then they're like, oh, it's self-harm. Okay, I understand that. And then there's like 2 other videos that got banned. There was one where it was some like some chick and her daughter like dancing in the mirror, and I had myself like fake throwing up next to it.
Yeah.
And like, this is bullying harassment. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Well, it's not bullying and harassment. It's more of bodily fluids, I believe, is the TOS for that type of thing. You're not supposed to show any bodily fluids on.
Now, here's a wild one that upset, because after two
I
of
want to
them,
hear a crazy
after
one.
two of them, I'm like, all right, that this is frustrating. I hope I don't get any more taken down, because they'll probably like ban my account if it's like strike 3. So I don't want to risk that.
Yeah, I think they will. Too.
Yeah. So then I posted. Did you see the video I posted of me eating raw testicle?
No.
And there's plenty of that online. Like, it's from the animal based communities and carnivore. And so it's not about the raw testicle. Now,
hot girls eat meat.
Yeah. It was like
have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Some hot girl eating raw meat.
I would love that. But
and she's like, hot girls eat raw meat too.
Yeah. Anyway, it's this clip of me eating raw testicle for the first time, talking about how good it is. And then there's a part where like I'm trying to grind some salt on top of it, and I had a little bit, like, my hands were like greasy and I couldn't do it right, but so it just looked like I was weak and couldn't even handle twisting the salt grinder. Mm-hmm. And I just made a comment. I was like, I'm having trouble with the salt here because I have muscular dystrophy. And then I was like, I'm just kidding, I don't have that. And so then again it gets banned, and I'm like, what for what? And I'm thinking about it as like, and they said something about making fun of marginalized groups. I'm like, oh my God, it's because of the
muscular dystrophy
joke. It's like, what if I didn't say just kidding, I don't have that?
Yeah. Would you get banned?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, because that's your condition. Or
I know,
whatever,
but so
in
it's
that lane.
Yeah, that level of censorship is so annoying.
Well, you know where TikTok's from.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So anyway, I went on Twitter and I said something like, "Fuck you, TikTok, rope yourselves," and they immediately got flagged in my account.
Twitter?
Yeah. And I
recently?
During Elon's reign. Mm-hmm. And my account got locked for 12 hours. Yeah. So, but to me, it's the rope yourself that's a threat. So, maybe.
But that's free speech.
Well, the threatening is actually punishable by law. That is one thing that, like, Elon says is like, I'm going to abide by free speech as the law does.
American.
Yeah, American law. Yeah. So that's his basis. So to me, I'm not too upset about that, because that makes sense. Now, had I been banned for just saying "fuck you, TikTok," that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's not
right.
Good. Yeah.
But I think it comes back to this Kanye thing. He banned Kanye for posting this symbol that was the Star of David with a swastika in it. So he got
Elon did?
Yeah, Elon like personally banned Kanye for that. And so yeah.
Yeah, that really does disrupt his whole free speech thing.
Yeah, and also, so it's that, and then also Elon openly saying, I'm not going to bring Alex Jones back. And like, to me, it's like, I don't think you're really a free speech absolutist in this case, where you're banning Kanye for that and you're banning Alex Jones. Even if you completely agree Nazi symbols bad and Alex Jones is dangerous or whatever, but my impression was Elon's going to take over, and stuff like that can be up there and be criticized and talked about, and these people can be engaged with.
Could you argue that some of the things that Alex Jones said were like TOS?
What do you mean?
Terms of service, as in like free speech, like you said, is up to a point when you start saying something violent, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure Alex, in his history of Twitter, I'm sure they have some type of record of him saying something that maybe violent sounding, or right?
I don't think so.
He's not super violent.
Yeah. He's pretty clear
Even
about
when
like don't get because again, the Capitol riot thing, for example.
Yeah,
like, even
he
you know that
violent,
he was very much like there, but against it, he's like, do not engage, violent. Don't get in there.
Like, I remember that.
Yeah. So like, I think he's pretty much been like that, as wild and into his conspiracies as he gets, and as conspiratorial and made up as they might be, or the other 90% that end up being true.
Well, he admits in court that he's a performance artist.
Yeah.
He does not. He says everything I say is not true. He'll be like, I'm an idiot. I just say things because I get paid to say things. Yeah. So,
but it is true that a lot of these wild things he says, a lot of these conspiracy theories, that it's an alarming number of them.
90% is pretty high.
Yeah. 90% is pretty high, but it might be pretty accurate.
No. He has said he throws everything out, and when he gets something right, he latches on, sticks with it for a while. That's what a lot of people do, man. They, especially far left as well, they do the same exact thing. They say a bunch of shit till they hit one that's right, and they go, look, I was fucking right about that. And then they dig in, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, I don't know why he dug into the Sandy Hook shit. Like, that was, he knew that wasn't going to work. He's fucked.
Yeah. I don't know. But also, like, you know, he admits, like, so I would say that probably what he's saying in court is more trying to just, like, cooperate and be like, you know, I'm a complete performance artist. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's
where
to
I think
not get sued is hard.
Yeah, right. I think he's trying to cooperate to try to not get sued is hard. I think so. I think what he's saying in court is probably more bullshit and trying to just agree with the people that are against him.
You think so?
I think so, but because I think his more balanced and real, genuine answer is the stuff that he says in these long form discussions with, like, on the Joe Rogan podcasts, right? Where I don't know if you've heard him.
Not recently.
Not recently. He's only done like 3 of them.
The most recent one that I did hear, he was completely off the rails.
Yeah.
He wasn't making points. He was, and even Joe, I think, was like, whoa, chill out.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Well, yeah, the 2 before that are a little more interesting because Joe lets him speak and it's not this off the rail thing. But anyway, it is this thing where, like, he admits, he's like, look, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm kind of retarded, but
I remember he said that. Yeah,
but he does. I think it might be that. I think it's the second.
That's exactly what he says. Yeah.
He says, I'm so deep into this stuff, you know, and Joe, and I don't know about the 90%. I don't, but I think it is a high. I think it's over 50%.
10%.
I don't think so. I really think it's closer to the inverse, where a lot of these things are like, you know, he was talking about the Illuminati and Bohemian Grove before people know that this is actually a thing. Uh-huh. He's talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Epstein Island before people knew that was a real thing. Mm-hmm. There and all sorts of shit like that, where it's like, oh, he's a fucking nut job, and it comes just a few years later, it's like, oh no, we're having real legal public court cases about this thing.
I don't remember him mentioning Jeffrey Epstein by name. I think I remember him saying pedophiles in, you know,
maybe
politics and things like that, which turned out to be true.
Yeah.
But some of those things weren't big secrets either, man. Like, they just were so powerful, they thought, oh, this is never going to come out.
Yeah. But anyway, him saying, he's like, I'm so deep into this stuff that, you know, and Joe is even saying, you have been right about so many of these things, and sometimes you misfire. Sometimes you go too far. Like, and I think they talked about the Sandy Hook thing as an example. And he's like, yeah, I'm just so deep into it. Like, I do this research and I get convinced of these things, these conspiracies, and I don't have a perfect radar of which ones I am actually for sure right about and which ones I'm misfiring on. You know, he can't be perfect in that pursuit.
Do some research then before you start talking about it. He is doing the research. Before you talk about it.
No, he is doing the research.
I know people that do research about huge scams that they wait an entire year before they say anything. Like, if he doesn't know, stop firing at the hip. Like, with all journalists, man. Journalism, I mean, I don't know if he's a journalist, but, like, when journalists put out a story immediately and they don't do any research, that's bad.
But to me, I think it comes back to, like, this Elon thing where it's like, you know, being against exactly how he's spending his money. It's like, well, if I were him and I were doing the crazy info wars, I would put 3 years of research into this before I started firing from the hip. It's like, no, what makes Alex Jones is this mixture of some very deep research, and that he's really in this, and he's kind of wacky and wild, and that he does shoot from the hip, you know, to some degree. But, like, he's someone who's like, he's kind of like, in terms of being a wacky conspiracy theorist, journalist, news anchor, whatever you want to call him, he's kind of like a seasoned version of that, like a seasoned comedian, like a Chappelle. He's the Dave Chappelle of conspiracy theory radio thing, where Chappelle can go up for a 4-hour show and fire from the hip and actually say some pretty profound, interesting stuff.
And then misfire because he's not doing his research.
Sure. Yeah.
Same thing happens.
So is what you're saying is that folks should never misfire?
Not if you're doing an extremely long form thing. You have to be aware that you can misfire, and if you do misfire, don't dig down deep into it. Like, Alex Jones did not stop when they were like, the parents asked him to stop. You know, it's not like they were immediately, we're suing you, fuck you. They said, please, we're begging you. Like, people were attacking them. They were coming up to him screaming at him, having screaming matches with these families of kids. That's the only reason why Alex Jones just bothers me. And that takes everything that he was maybe right about, throws it out the window because of how evil he was to those people. Like, I don't give a fuck how right he is. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean,
if he was right, his credibility's gone.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine to have that opinion. I wouldn't argue with that.
That's all. That's all.
I think
just hate him.
Yeah,
man.
And this just circles back to the same thing I was saying with Kanye saying I love Hitler, and what I was saying at the end of that podcast about like what I feel that the artist's duty is, and I feel like it's my duty, and it's like I feel like it's more my duty to try my best to empathize with even the worst of people, and particularly the people that society's pointing a finger at and saying this man is garbage.
Yeah, but you need to have standards too where that ends, because you're gonna have people walking all over you if that's your whole mindset of like, I love everybody, and it's like, well, you're gonna get taken advantage of.
Hold on now, because it's not like if Alex Jones came up to me and said, "Hey, I want you to start filming for InfoWars."
No, I'm saying if you're defending or even like saying some of his shit is right, even I don't know how right. I mean, we don't have, I have no computer in front of me. I can't do any kind of research, but.
Right. It's basically, we're both under different impressions. You're under the impression that Alex Jones has mostly been wrong and has done a lot more damage, right? And that he's a bad dude.
Yep.
And you can't stand behind that.
Yeah, no. Can't.
Right. And my perception is I think Alex Jones is a human. I think he has chosen a very interesting and strange path, perhaps a dangerous one, where he can have dangerous and detrimental effects in some way. And I think he's also done a lot of really interesting things that could be labeled as good with it. And I personally think he should be allowed to do what he's done. And I think that he was right to get sued in the Sandy Hook case and lose all that money? Perhaps so. Mm-hmm. Perhaps so. And also,
sure,
perhaps
it's
not.
his right to do so. I mean, in this country, you can lose all the money you want. If you feel like taking a stance on something that you shouldn't, sure.
Yeah. So there are repercussions for him misfiring so far in the direction that you're describing, right? Like, you know, just digging deeper into it, even after perhaps
knowing he's wrong.
Yeah, perhaps. But also think about it from this empathetic perspective, where you can be inside a paranoid conspiracy theorist's mind, where the families that are coming after you and telling you to stop, how do I know this is not the globalists hiring actors to come up to me and try to tell me to stop and threaten me and tell me they're going to take me to court? You know, it's like...
So he's sick.
He's perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could still say whatever he wants, but he cannot keep earning money like he has been. Because then that can create power and influence, and he's just going to lie his way through.
I guess, you know.
I just want society to be more genuine. Like, we need to stop this bullshit. Everyone lies. Everyone is a fucking liar. This comes back to my point. Everyone's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually a beautiful thing for you to feel, because you know who agrees with you so much on that fundamental truth and has made their entire career out of that?
Alex Jones.
Exactly. Now, you guys have discrepancies on the content of who's the liar and where the liars are and the nature of those liars.
But you said he might be sick, right?
He might be. He might. You and I might be sick.
I'm not a schizophrenic or anything like that. I've not been diagnosed.
Well, I don't necessarily think he is schizophrenic. You know, I don't think he has some
paranoid something.
I think he has genuine paranoia because of the nature of the information he fills his head with.
My cousin was a paranoid schizophrenic, and whenever a plane would fly over, he was like, "Yep, there's the government coming to look at me again." Yeah, man, maybe he's right. Who knows?
Yeah,
probably not, because he's homeless and can't function.
Right.
You know, that's Alex Jones.
Right.
Like, if we're like, he's sick.
Right. So, but do you think, I guess this would be a good question to ask there, is do you think that there is paranoia without schizophrenia, or do you think that all paranoia is schizophrenia?
Well, no, the schizophrenia part helps with the, you know, it's basically like you can be paranoid or whatever. You just think everyone's after you, but the schizophrenia is, those are people coming after. That's the government coming after. The schizophrenia part is there's a human manifestation in this, and it's the government, it's federal agents, it's FBI, whatever. But the paranoid is just more like, I think someone's out there. I think someone's outside. It's not as deep because when they get the paranoid schizophrenic, they just start creating all these ideas in their head and like all the shit that's going on in their lives. Like they got an explanation. A lot of it has to do with like God, and most schizophrenics, they think it's God. So with Alex Jones, it's like maybe he's really sick if he really believes these things that have been proven not to be true.
Yeah.
You know, especially with Sandy Hook. They know those were kids, man.
Yeah.
You could dig up the bodies.
Yeah.
There are bodies.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to
Sorry.
No, this is honestly, this has been a really great discussion.
Are you
I'm very happy with this.
Are you? Okay,
I'm genuinely.
Deep down, I'm like, I hate what I've done so far. I feel like I've been combative and an asshole to you.
No, not at all.
I don't want you
I
to
honestly feel that we're
hate me.
closer.
Really?
I do. I love you, dude.
I felt like I was ruining this podcast.
Not at all.
So I was like,
Not
can
at
we
all.
keep
To me,
going?
this has been exciting and engaging and challenging, and I really appreciate like how much your intelligence
good.
is able
No,
to
I'm-
defend a point that's not mine, and I have to like
That's
kind
all
of work.
that's all I wanted this to be
Yeah.
was us both making great point because I know how smart you are. And I know I don't fucking know everything. I don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're a nice challenge to talk to.
Thank
in
you.
this
You
way.
are
Yeah.
too. That's
Yeah.
why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Because, not that I wanted to
Yeah.
challenge you, but I
Yeah.
wanted to push back on some things.
No, of course. I invite that.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
invite
glad you
anyone
did.
that's going to come on this podcast to fucking confront me about a disagreement and let's fucking hash it out. Like,
Yeah.
and this is
yeah.
like, fun and exciting, and it's part of why I'm doing this. I think this kind of
Good.
dialogue makes both of us better.
Good. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this. I mean, I had a little bit for 20 minutes or so where I was like, oh my God,
I
I've
was definitely
ruined this
getting-
entire podcast.
I was getting worried I was pushing it too far. I was like, oh God, he's going to get up any second and be like, you know what, Cameron, fuck you. Don't release this fucking shit. I'll sue you.
Yeah, no.
We're done.
I guess I wasn't expecting as much passion, but I'm glad that you did because it got me more passionate into what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Because I'm just trying to figure out shit. Like, you know me, 4 years ago, I was probably super left. You know, I would not admit the things I'm admitting today 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like before COVID. Fuck no. I was very like, I was scared to say anything because I was afraid people were going to label me as something that I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what
Can you
it's
get
good
the
to
mic
have.
just up a little bit.
Yes.
more?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Is that good?
Yeah. It's just like to
I
me,
know
it
it
looks like you
keeps
have it like
going
under
down.
your
I
chin.
don't know if it's dipping or what.
It could
but
be that something's loose over there. I can
maybe.
fix it.
Oh no, it's as long as they can hear me. I think they should be able.
Yeah. Anyway,
Is this good?
the thing I wanted to move on to, because
Yeah.
you brought it up there,
Mhm.
this concept of God. What are your thoughts on God?
I knew this was coming.
Like, where do you stand in this belief in terms of the nature, reality, and what you think God is, or whether you're like, God, definitely don't fucking believe in that shit. Like,
We might be similar.
Okay.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say like, you know, God is your consciousness, you know, and I sort of lean into that a little bit. My main answer is I don't know, and I don't know if I ever will. My theories are there is a lot of random chaos in the universe that we don't know about. Like there's, you know, shit that blows our fucking mind that we look at, you know, outside of the earth and everything, and we go, wow, that's, you know, amazing. Like, how did that come? I think it's all pretty random.
yeah.
I think it's a random chaotic event that, I mean, there's other theories too that I like to dabble with. Like,
But so, like, what you're
yeah.
kind of describing there is what science calls entropy.
oh, I've never heard this. What is that?
It's just the chaotic nature of the universe.
Yeah,
Like,
it's random
it's all
chaos.
random.
Yeah.
And so you feel that way.
A little bit. And then I also like to think of, you know, like there's like humans like us somewhere else in the galaxy. Like, I don't know if I think when it comes to God, it's like, I think there was a big bang.
Mm.
And I think that through the chaoticness of that, we came about. We're stardust. We're carbon based, you know, we're parts of a star. That's what I think. And then it just grew
Yeah.
like plants.
So I think the way I would think about that from that place. Is I certainly believe in the entropy and the chaos there too, but I also believe in the order, right? Because what you're pointing to is higher chaos. It's the higher natural disorder of the universe, and the randomness of the fact that our existence could totally be a random chance in that chaos, right? And that may very well be the case. So and that's kind of like an outside in view. Like where does nature begin?
Can I add that?
Oh yeah, sure. Go for it.
When the chaoticness ended, starts to settle. And then, we see patterns and stuff, and it's just, that's eventually our perception of whatever this is. I mean, it's so brief that it all seems pretty linear and like, whatever, like there are rules and things like that. But in this brief, teeny tiny period, there are not hundreds of billions of, whatever. That's all I mean. Like everything settles. I do agree with you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There's the chaoticness that's settled, and we're in this moment where things are kind of chill.
So from that perspective, I'm going to try to tell you what I think God is in that view of the world.
I'm interested.
I think, so our brain hemispheres, they are not symmetrical, right? It's basically, there's this really great book called The Master and His Emissary that is by this guy, Dr. Ian McGilchrist. And it's basically about the stuff that we've been taught in our science classes and psychology classes about the difference between the two brain hemispheres is mostly pretty unnuanced and almost completely backwards in many cases.
Okay.
It's like the left is analytical and the right is creative.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, what it really is the title for that book, The Master's Emissary. It's really the natural relationship between these two things. They're not equal. It's basically the right is supposed to be the master and the left is supposed to be its emissary. Like it's sort of right hand man. I know right
student.
Or it's more just kind of like the thing to operate within itself.
Okay.
And maybe a better way to think about it too is chaos and order. Right, right is chaos,
yin and yang.
Yeah, kind of like that. But also in this thing, where a better word that is used is the chaos and the right brain is asymmetry, right? The infinite chaos and nature of reality, right? And then the left is something born out of that chaos, because in pure chaos, where it's like infinite possibility, all things can happen. Eventually, in that infinite chaos,
something will happen.
Something emerges.
Something emerges.
An order will emerge.
Yes.
So it's basically the reason there's that relationship of master and emissary rather than two partners that are equal.
Sure.
Is because asymmetry can contain symmetry, but symmetry cannot contain asymmetry.
Okay.
Asymmetry is antithetical to symmetry, right? So in that sense, I feel that reality as an infinite whole, whatever you want to call the oneness of everything, or
the connection,
right? All the chaos that you're pointing to, that is reality, and what we're operating in, that's the fundamental creative chaos of existence. What God is the most highest version, the most highest abstract version of that divine order that is born out of it. So you think about that, as like some form of orderly consciousness that is moving all things forward and putting things to order.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So through the chaos, there's somebody kind of,
it's
not somebody, but something that is making sense of all of the chaos.
It is that that which brings things into being. It's the birth
brings consciousness, brings light, or whatever.
Our planets and our galaxies, our solar systems, the things that we can label as things emerge from that order. Right. And so now that's the outside in perspective. But here's how I really like to think about God, is from the inside out. We as humans, we start with us in our minds, right? We can definitely both agree that this word, God, is a word. And it points to an idea that other people, have very varying conceptions of. When you say God to someone, they have...
In loose terms, what created us?
Right.
What made this?
Yeah. And but also, like, you know, from a believer, also all believers will probably say something like that, and then maybe people who are non-believers are like, oh, that doesn't exist, it's not real, or, you know, it's about this, or this is my version of God, and God is this personality, or God looks like this, or this is an angel. You know,
yeah. God has a big white beard.
A lot of variation, but we can agree across the board that God is a word
and
it
a
is an
woman.
idea. But there seems to be this disagreement about, well, is this idea of this being, whatever it may be, real? That's a difficult...
The idea?
Yeah.
The idea of it?
Well, that's
Or the actual physical? Or just thinking?
So I think people have a very left-brained, literal mind about this. I don't feel you do, but like,
No.
you know, if you were to talk to someone who is more like that, like I think a very militant atheist is like, there's no being in the clouds, and that's their only
spaghetti monster.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense for there to be a being in the clouds. It's like,
I was thinking about that today. The spaghetti monster thing. Do you remember when that was popular?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like that. It's like they're making fun of people for manifesting a physical thing, and it's like some people are just so goddamn dumb. They can't.
It's a very limited view.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I was stupid enough to hold that view
I did
for
too.
a long portion of my life. And
I did too.
Woke up to the fact of infinite possibility of my ignorance. And then
I was a pure atheist at one point.
Yeah, for sure. It was like middle school to late college is pretty much my reign of atheism. But so we agree that God is this word and it's this concept.
Yes.
And what we can definitely agree on is whether this thing is real, like we're actually pointing to a intelligence and a consciousness or whatever, whether this thing has some sort of physical or metaphysical manifestation. What is true is that it's most certainly an idea, and that the effects of that idea, at least on humanity, are real. So in that sense, God is real at the very least.
Yeah.
And perhaps his realness, and it doesn't even matter.
Or she.
Or she. It's, you know, they thems.
Yeah, they thems. Please.
God's a they them.
Okay, let's open it up. All right. Come on.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Like, in terms of...
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like, I don't think it's a physical thing. I think it's more of an energy type of thing. Like,
yeah,
you know, when the universe first began, at least theories are, everything was firing chaos, like it was hot, very hot, you know, like temperatures are crazy, and then something comes and quells in all that,
right?
You know, chills everything out.
Something brings some sort of peace and harmony, like
it might not be a person,
right?
But it could be like a force or some type of thing that was created from the universe. You know, it who knows?
Yeah.
I definitely, there's more comfort in thinking that there's something as opposed to nothing at all, pure black.
Yeah.
Because then that's going to drive you fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Even if you believe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the true nature of the pure black, even if there is nothing after we die, it's okay. It's okay because we won't experience it. It really is the end.
It is, yeah.
So I think, like, from this perspective of conceptualizing God like that, where it's at least, at the very least, it's an idea, just like everything else is, like Christianity as a whole, as an idea, has effects that are real. Judaism has effects that are real. All the religions have effects that are real and physical, because the way that they possess people and get them to act and build structures and churches and get together and sing songs and then carry out moral values and interact with one another and have arguments.
I still think the physical manifestation of it was like, have you heard that Patton Oswalt joke about sky cake? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
He's talking about the birth of religion was, some caveman, big burly caveman that could fuck whoever and eat and kill whoever he wanted. Then you got like the skinny smart dude over here that's like, hey, if I convince this guy that if killing and raping and all that is bad, then I can succeed even though I'm not as strong as him. And so I'm going to tell him that when he dies, he can get cake when he's dead. And so he's like, yeah, I like cake. And so he then believes, because he's not as smart, you have the manipulator and the manipulated.
Yeah, okay. So
I feel like the physical birth of it.
Yeah,
that's where it came from. And to scare people into morals and things like that. Because if people were just killing everybody, and if they had no reason to be good back then, because people were not smart, we would never succeed as a society. We would never build those buildings and do these things.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, I think that and I want to try to be careful about the way I say this because I don't want to like disparage people with this. It's not my intention with this, but I think talking about it from religious ideas from a utilitarian point of view. In a case like that, I think that some like this idea that some religions are built off this intention to manipulate people with fear to get them to behave in a certain way when there really is no cake after you die if you behave this way. That's kind of steel manning what you're saying. So
yeah, the morals and the money. I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that that is ties into the susceptibility to corruption thing. That's a maladaptive and corrupt form of religious ideas being used, and I'm sure there's some people that have those motivations.
Sure, I'm sure there's some great religions out there that ask for no money. I'm sure there are.
Right. Or the same religions that are asking for money. There's just versions and conglomerations of it that aren't. That's not what they're about.
Sure. Yeah.
That's not their goal.
The big ones.
Right. Look,
you got to admit the big ones.
I suppose.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
And they stomped out a lot of those smaller ones. Too.
I will admit that a lot of religion practiced in the modern day is not being.
It's not about faith.
It's not being practiced in good faith.
No.
But I think that even from this perspective of it being manipulative, and getting people to behave in a certain way, promising them cake after they're dead, and they're not actually being cake. Mm-hmm. I think that when you think about two people like you and I who are able to have this really complicated, nuanced discussion and have disagreements and not hate each other and murder each other over it, right?
Sure.
Because we have that capability, right?
Yeah.
Now think about some folks who can get in arguments and actually want to kill each other because they're
disagreement,
right? But they're maybe not intelligent enough to not behave violently because someone disrespected them with words, right?
Sure.
So in a case where there's someone who's perhaps that simple, who can't do something like you and I do and have a complicated discussion about the nature of reality and maybe even form their own sort of individual, like we were talking about digging into the internet and having your own individual taste. It's highly personalized because of all you can do with it. So it's kind of like, these are not the people that are catering their own Spotify playlist. They're like, Spotify, make my playlist for me every week.
Yeah.
Because I can't do this shit.
They don't want to think.
Right. So, because otherwise, without that Spotify playlist, they might be behaving in a way that is really immoral and dangerous. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's something maybe bad and sinister or just kind of negative feeling about manipulating someone with a lie. Like this, no, it's not true that you're going to get cake after you die.
If it's a helpful lie.
Right. It's I think looking at truth not in this non-scientific objective way and looking at it in this like utilitarian way where it's like, how useful is this information or idea or statement? And if the idea or statement is getting people afraid of what happens to them after they die so that they be kinder to their neighbor, that they don't kill people, that they don't steal from one another, they try to lie less because God's watching them and knows when they're lying.
Yeah.
And they don't cheat on their spouse, and they actually like commit to their marriage because if they were to break that would send them to hell. You know, all sorts of things. Getting people to behave in a more harmonious, orderly way where there is less suffering because they can't really handle formulating and holding moral values without those fear tactics.
Okay.
They're too simple. They need something that's more complicated than them to create this very simple emotion of fear. And it actually gets them to lead a better life, and they might actually have a positive impact on people. Until
they meet a neighboring place and they start to discuss, oh, hey, yeah, you like Jesus, right? Uh-huh. They're like, no, we're into, Allah over here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we're going to fucking kill you and everybody you know. Like,
yes. Yeah.
That's the one thing about religion I never understood. They teach these important morals, like be good to your neighbor and be, but then in the name of the religion, we will kill you and everyone you fucking know until you believe in this shit.
Yeah. Now, and before I say this, I'm going to say that I'm very uneducated on this particular subject with this particular religion, but I think you are talking about how, like, in Christianity, they don't have anything of like, if someone does not agree with your conception of God and Jesus, you should murder them, right?
They do. Well, they used to.
Christians don't.
Catholics, which is a sect of.
Are there Catholics in the modern world that are killing people for disagreeing with their view on?
Currently, no, but there were.
Okay,
Fuck yeah.
So okay, again, that has
is that what you're saying?
That's been revised. Now,
of course.
Now there are there is at
yeah.
least one prominent religion that has something like that in their text, that there are still societies that are killing people for this disagreement.
Yeah.
And I think that is a bug that needs to be ironed out.
Yeah.
And but otherwise the stringencies of these particular religions, following them to the T, when we can remove some of these bugs, are mostly a net positive.
The only thing, we had bugs for a while, man. Like, we just recently, even some current wars, you could argue people were like, we're doing it because we're Christians,
right.
like,
yeah, for sure.
Which
I'm
is
not
fucking
saying,
crazy to me, man.
I think the point I'm making here is this: there is certainly going to be this chaos and evil and violence that's going to happen, even with the holding of religious views. But
I just thought of that episode of South Park, and I'm fully on the same page as you now.
The Galactic Atheist Alliance.
Yes, it's the whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's the group thing. It's us versus them.
Yeah, because this dream of a utopian society, I personally don't think is achievable.
Never
because of exactly what that South Park episode illustrated. It's like, even if we were to do away with religion, Atheist Alliance.
Yeah. No, we're the North American Alliance of Atheists.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't agree.
Yeah, exactly.
And the discrepancies over like a couple words.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be feud and war between people. But I think what I'm suggesting is that with religion, we have chaos. Mm-hmm. Without religion, we have a lot more chaos. I think that's what I'm saying.
So which one's worse? Oh, you like the other one, but not the... Are they both equal?
But see,
chaos versus more chaos? Which one's worse,
Cameron? I'm actually thinking about that, because I'm coming back to that, and I think that is maybe where
religion arguably was good for society. Mm-hmm. I think now it's pretty dated. I don't think we need it as bad. We know the morals. We're taught that. We're not. I wasn't necessarily taught morals because of religion.
Okay, so let me put a idea in your head, and because this is something I realized slowly after becoming open to the fact that my atheism was stupid. So this was kind of the next step. To say something like, I don't believe in God, I'm not a Christian, right? Okay. Now you have to think about the introduction of a religion like Christianity into the picture of human evolution. So like 2,000 years ago, Christianity became a thing. And
yeah.
And over those 2,000 years, we have developed as a society with the morals that were born out of it. And now the origin of those morals are not like people sat down together and then made up morals. What it was verbal stories being told, and it was an analysis of the behavior and the actions that were already being carried out. Like the example of the 10 Commandments, or the 10 Commandments.
God, let's talk about your narcissism now.
Well, I actually have something called the 10 Commandments that it's like
I'm sure you do.
I'll talk about it one day, but today's not the day. Anyway, with the case of the 10 Commandments, it's not that, the story isn't necessarily that God shouted these out at Moses and he just wrote them down or whatever, and whatever. But it was more this case of like a verbal articulation of these values that humans had been acting out for a while.
Right. They had already been doing it. But there were also many religions before Christianity. It's not like Christianity was the first.
I'm not saying Christianity is, I'm just focusing on this because in the context of the Western society that we live in, right? Christianity is very prominent in this country.
Yes.
And we were raised in a society that is Christian. So when you say something like, I don't get my moral values from Christianity, the unfortunate...
I said religion.
Or yeah, from religion, right?
Yeah.
So the unfortunate... I don't even want to say unfortunate. The reality of
You're
this...
saying there is an indirect learning of these morals because we live in a Christian society.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think even if you got rid of the Christian
and I
society...
won't even want to say Christian. I want to say Judeo-Christian because it's a mixture of Jewish and Christian values kind of together that make up the Western
Bible,
society.
The Christian Bible is the Old Testament and the New Testament. You know, is it not?
Yeah.
It's like Jesus, and then Jesus comes way after. They already have all these old stories from like the Jewish Bible. Isn't that right?
I suppose, but
I think
I'm not talking about the discrepancies in the stories here. I'm just talking about the values that are abstracted out.
And I'm just saying they've been there. They have been there.
Yeah, they've been there for a long time.
The only new shit with Christianity is Jesus.
Yeah.
That was the only new shit.
Right. Okay. So
as far as I'm concerned, so like the story of Jesus,
I don't know. I'm not getting into the content of the technicalities of it. What I'm getting into is the fact that the way that we behave, like our laws are based off Judeo-Christian values. We operate within a Judeo-Christian society. Mm-hmm. Even if you're someone that's like, I'm atheistic, I don't believe in that shit. Seriously, the way that you unconsciously behave and have emotions about what feels right and wrong is because of your raising as a fucking infant all the way to what you are now, with people reinforcing these values with one another to varying degrees of accuracy and trueness to the original text.
Right. And my argument back is, it's because it's Christianity and because we live here, but those before Christianity was already happening. They'd already talked about that stuff. So it's not directly Christianity, it's religion as a whole, because religion started and then it broke off. So you have pieces of...
What are you trying to say,
I guess what I'm
though?
saying, you're saying that I have learned everything because I live in a Christian nation. But those morals and stuff have been going on before.
So I'm not trying to say like you... I'm not trying to say... Because I agree with you and I said the same thing. These books are made because these morals and values have been going on long before the books. Mm-hmm. The books is what puts them into...
I thought you were saying...
No.
Christianity was the only one... That's what it sounded like.
No.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is your values... This claim, I don't operate on moral values of religions.
I guess just not directly, is what I meant.
Of course, yeah. And that's the case for most people. It's like... It's all unconscious and subconscious and conscious. Like it's all the levels of our being, which we're operating within the values that religions, particularly us, we can say it's more Judeo-Christian because of where we live and where we grew up. But if we want to get real nuanced and real specific, it's probably more like a pantheist, an amalgamation of all the ancient religions through time that their values have come together.
That's all I was saying.
Yeah, they do have religious origins though, because that's the reason while we've had these values for a long time, the books is what gives us an ability to label it with a word. Mm-hmm. Right. It's why we can say Jewish. It's why we can say Christian. It's why we can say this book, the Bible, the Torah. It's like why we can say all these things. Mm-hmm. So that's what's taken the moral values and put them in a box in a package.
I guess where I was coming from was I feel like the whole Christian religion was stolen. Like it's not,
of course,
like it wasn't just Jesus was like super cool and smart and like came up with all, the apostles and like what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say. I guess I am being nitpicky about it.
I think you're just you're going off. I think you're arguing with me against a point that I'm not arguing with you against.
I know. That's not what I was trying to do. I was just trying to be clear about what we were talking about.
Yeah. That's not the point of what I'm saying.
I guess I was just making a point that it's not, you could say it was Christianity. Sure. That came up with whatever, but it's since the beginning of humans we've been telling these stories, like to not kill. It comes back to the sky cake thing.
Yeah, for me,
that's where it started, was cake.
Yeah,
and then it became Jesus.
Yeah. Well, so I think in the way.
But yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I learned my morals based off of the religion that dominates this country, just like people do in the Middle East.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But and they don't probably always agree with those morals too over there, because they are protesting pretty hard.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
And that's
changing, at least for the better, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're able to do with our ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Is we're able to take these values and question them.
Does this all come back to free speech?
And free speech is
because of that.
Is the mechanism in which we're able to do that.
Yeah.
If you limit the speech, we can't really make a whole lot of progress on that. And to me, I think the whole thing with, this concern over being politically correct in your speech really slows that process down.
Yeah, it's been slowing a lot of things down.
In terms of being able to speak honestly and directly with people.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hurt
subjects.
I never try to hurt anybody with my opinions.
Right.
It's just more like that's what my opinion is. I could change it if I learn, but it better be right. If it's not true, fuck you.
Well, did you have anything else that you wanted to dig into and cover? How long have we done? Holy fuck.
Few hours. Since 5. What time is it?
That's not giving me a good. It's 7:49. It's almost 3 hours.
Yeah, almost 3 hours. So we should go 10 more minutes.
Okay, yeah, we'll hit the 3 hours. We should end on something kind of light.
Yeah, well, yeah. Puppies. Sorry, I don't know. I think I had all this shit bottled up inside that I just haven't let out.
Can I ask you a fun question about like our personal relationship?
Yeah.
So you and I have worked on a number of creative collaborations over the years, right? Like we've done some sketches together, made some songs together.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, done some comedy shows together.
Mm-hmm. Had some sex.
Do you have a favorite memory, like an experience of like something that we've made together? Like your favorite song that we've made, or just either the product of it or the experience of making it? And you can have more than one story. Or
yeah. I think the funnest song we did was Gelato.
Gelatio? Yeah.
I'm going to call it Gelato.
We should make one called Gelato.
Hell yeah, dude. It was just such a great...
Fuck ice cream, I only drink gelato. I only eat gelato.
Don't give me a milkshake. I just loved when we were talking, I was like, I want to make a song with you. And you were like, what do you want it to be about? And I was like, I have no fucking idea. And you were like, what about Jules? Like being addicted to Jules, which was cool at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just such a great, like from there, we were able to just, start coming up with ideas. I really love when we can do.
Yeah.
Because we're so similar comedy wise, I feel like in certain ways.
Yeah, in certain ways. There's something kind of fundamental about our senses of humor that overlap. Like, I can't put words to it.
It's really like the stupid shit, man.
Yeah.
That we both...
It's like the reason why I put those particular gags at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited to play that Pfizer ad for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is so stupid and dry. And then, of course, setting you up for the Sonic thing.
Yeah. You know me, man. Like...
Sonic.
I love that you could just do that. That and
well, another thing I want to point out, Gelatio, little behind the scenes thing. I usually always pick out the beats for the songs, but Colton,
I did pick that one.
Colton actually, because I think I sent you a beat and I was like, let's do it to this. And then I think like maybe within the day you sent me, you're like, hey, what do you think of this?
Hey,
beat?
this one's worse. Can we use this one? Because the baby and like that Charlotte rap was huge at the time.
Yeah.
That, barely any, just like nothing beat.
Yeah.
Like, that's just,
it's a stupid beat, but it's perfect.
Really stupid.
It made the song for sure.
Yeah. I think my thing was like, this is pretty popular. And I think it would be funny to do something because it's so bad.
Yeah.
Like the songs are always so bad. Like DaBaby and, like that Charlotte rap shit, man. It's not good. I just thought it was funny too to have such a low energy kind of beat.
Yeah.
And then we're high energy rapping about Jules.
Yes.
Yeah. I really like that experience. I mean, you're so like your directing, ability is very strong. You get me to feel things and like I'm able to work better because of your direction.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. The negative things I would say about working with you is hard to get you to come to like my ideas.
I agree with that. I have major.
You've gotten so much better though.
Yeah, I have tried, but I will admit I am difficult. I mean, man, one person that can really tell you who like tried really hard to work with me a number of times is Johnny Gray. Like,
oh really?
He tried would put serious effort into trying to like collaborate on doing like a Camboy show. We did a number of live shows, but like he threw out so many probably great ideas that I just felt like didn't align with Camboy, like the vision I had.
That's a little different. I guess what I'm saying is like, I'd be like, hey, we have a sketch idea. Can you help us film it? And you would be there and you would do it, but we couldn't get much out of you. Like we wanted to like, just a little something. Like you did everything we asked. But it
didn't feel like I was really contributing creatively.
It felt like you didn't care. That was the only thing. And maybe you didn't, which is fair.
Yeah.
Like you can not like the idea and that's
You're talking about
fine.
like shooting at Baboon Lasan, right?
Kind of. I mean, those, to be fair, those were crazy. Some of those were crazy ideas. But
can you think of a specific?
I can't think of a specific time, but I'm picturing that studio. And you being there and doing it with us and helping us and being great. But just, I don't know, we would just be like, hey man, what do you think about this? And you're like, I don't care. It's your thing. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But we respect your, opinion. And I guess we just wanted you to have an opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair criticism. It is. And I
what
agree.
What do you hate about me?
I don't know if I have anything I hate about
I'm pretty
you.
opinionated even when I'm wrong. And I don't like that about myself personally. I will double down on things that I don't need to.
No, I don't think any of that bothers me. I think maybe if I had, like, you hold a gun to my head, the thing I would like have to say is like, and it's not coming from a place where I'm mad at you or hold it against you. I understand it, but like think about like, okay, I want to have Brian Piccolo on this podcast.
Yeah.
I've reached out to him and we like planned a date and it was like, can you do it this Saturday? He's like,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
And then we get to it and, it's like the day before, like, are you down to do it? And then it's like, he always responds to your text, but then he doesn't respond to that one or he gives some joke answer, roundabout, gets out. It's like, can't actually make a plan with him. Can't get him to do it.
Dude, that was me.
Getting him to show up to open mic, that kind of thing.
Yes. I did a podcast with Brian Piccolo.
Yeah.
We did 2.
Yeah. And so that is crazy.
I can't believe I got 2.
Yeah. But to me, I think it's this thing. But to me, I empathize with that place because I know it's not coming out of a hatred for me. I know it's coming out of like, I don't want to leave the house or get involved with things. I just would rather be.
It was a depression.
Yeah,
thing
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that was bad. But today, I mean, this week when we planned this, I showed up right when I said I would, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better about it.
Yeah.
I'm at least going to, I was really, really bad about that. I would also agree to shit and then forget.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't number one on my mind. And then when it came up, I was like, fuck, I got to do that thing. Shit.
Yeah. Well, let me also like kind of reflect what you're talking about with me showing up and then like not really being fun or like not contributing or not having thoughts and ideas.
Oh, that's not fair to say that you weren't fun because that's not a fair thing to put on you.
Well, I think
I don't need you to have fun every time I see you.
No, I get it. And look, I can try to justify that by saying, look, I'm kind of like, if I were really going to try to defend myself about that, it would be, in most cases where it's not my thing, I don't feel like I'm good at contributing ideas because my ideas don't clash well with it. Like people typically, my ideas are too much or too weird or just don't fit with the thing. They disrupt too much. And so it's kind of like, unless I have full creative control, you're not going to get that kind of energy from me.
Yeah.
And this is your thing, and I don't want to get in the way of that. So, like, whatever you need me to do, tell me to do it, and I'll do it. Like, I'll commit to it.
And that's what you were.
But maybe I won't contribute idea-wise very much, and I might not be very passionate if I'm not, like, feeling what's going on. I'm not, like, immersed in it. And so that's probably that case. But back to this. In many cases, I know, specifically thinking about like the 2017, 2018 years of me showing up for those Baboom shoots, I was like struggling with continuing to get high and not having a good relationship. Like I'd show up there and we'd all like smoke and then make the sketches.
Yeah.
And also was kind of in a funk and depression myself. And like, rather than doing what you and Piccolo do, where it's just, I know I'm going to be like that, I'm just not going to show up. What I do is I'll show up, but I'm just going to be a fucking piece of shit,
But that's better than what I was doing. I mean, at least you were dependable.
Yeah.
You know, me and Piccolo definitely were not dependable at all. And then there were with the baboom shit, man. I can understand sometimes not being into the idea, you know, because I have that same genuinely feeling.
Don't know how to contribute, like, you know, because
it's such an idea that you're like, I don't even know what I'm just here to help. Like,
well, it's very like it's John and Dave do a great job working together on that and like being like in sync with each other. And then I think there's just sometimes like I have fun doing it and I like doing it, but there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't know how to contribute to this.
Yeah.
Like I love doing this and I love hanging out with these guys, but I creatively don't know. Like I don't feel like I have anything good.
I think that's what would happen too to me. I think I would get self-conscious about doing those things and being like, what am I doing? I don't feel very funny in this. Like they're going to put it out and I'm not going to be very funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's my whole goal is like trying to be funny, create content for people to laugh. You know, this podcast is a little different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've only been a little funny throughout these podcasts.
Yeah. No, you're great.
I'm funny in the first minute and then I start it off.
But I need to get used to that more instead of trying to just be funny all the time.
Yeah.
You know, because people do want genuine shit. But no, I think you're great. Like I've told you before, I compared you to Seth. Yeah, I'm
a little like Hitler.
Yeah, you're pretty much Hitler, dude. Yeah.
Look, Hitler got shit done, so do I.
And I love you, so you're Hitler.
Yeah.
I've compared you to Seth MacFarlane one time, and I remember you going like, "Wow, really?" That's how long ago. That's how long I knew you for, when he was doing the movies and Ted and shit. I was like, dude, you're like Seth MacFarlane, man. You're so good. You're direct and you're funny and you act. Wow.
Now it's a little insulting.
Yeah, it's pretty insulting. So you're a racist.
Is he?
No, I'm just kidding. Like that. I mean, you could say that about Family Guy, that they made racist jokes.
Oh, yeah.
You
So
could say
like
that about
every edgy cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not South Park.
Yeah, right.
I'm joking.
They went hard in the paint.
Yeah, they did. But I just wanted you to know. I love you. I think all your work, I watch everything you do, and I listen to everything you do. Like, I listened to your fucking podcast twice. I'm not going to listen to this one. This one sucked.
Okay, who cares? Thank you for saying that.
No, I'm joking. I think people are going to...
No, I'm joking. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, fuck you. No, I was joking about this podcast sucks. That's what I was... I feel like I'm going to get some hate from this one, but I hope so.
I think we're both susceptible to getting hate. I mean, we said things like we...
True, we gave our opinions,
yeah,
which we're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did get to do this, man.
Yeah, this was so fun. We'll have to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will do it again.
We'll put it out. We'll see what the public thinks. We'll reflect on it.
I'm canceled, bro.
We'll just do another 3 hours. We're just apologizing to each other. Like, dude, I'm so sorry.
I would like to apologize to the trans community. I would also like to apologize to the gay community. Just go through it all.
I would like to apologize to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to Elon Musk, please. I'd like to apologize to God or the physical manifestation of God.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, very good. Very good, Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. God bless.
Love you. Praise Christ.